6:05, welcome. One meeting.
Oh, no.
All right, welcome to CB4's September 17th public hearing and regular meeting. As I said, it's 6:05. We're going to go ahead and get started with our public hearing items. We are still waiting for Commissioner David Doe to arrive from the TLC. And so we're going to ask for the MTA, who is here, Anthony Drummond, Assistant Director of Government and Community Relations, and Abhishek Patel, Station Manager, New York City Transit Authority, MTA, presenting on the Myrtle Avenue Rehabilitation Project. Anthony, you can come up. Mic right in the center.
This is new. So I present right here and not.
So we have some questions about the presentation. So everyone knows this is a hybrid meeting format. We're going to have the presentation shared on Zoom. The screen is over there. If for whatever reason you need to move closer to the screen, we can always accommodate you with the mic, but otherwise you're welcome to stay there.
Okay. All right. Actually. Yeah, let me.
Yeah, so for presentations, we generally ask for that mic to be used. Yeah, so unless you need to move closer to the screen, yeah.
No problem. They will. Okay. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Anthony Drummond. I'm Assistant Director of Government and Community Relations for New York City Transit. I'm also joined with the project team, Abby Patel, who, if you guys have any technical questions about the project, he'll be able to answer. So I'll just go through the presentation real briefly, and afterwards, be happy to take any questions. So this is on the Myrtle Avenue JMZ ADA accessibility upgrades that we're going to be starting actually next month. We're going to begin implementation of the work there to do the accessibility upgrades at the station. Just to brief on the project scope, it will be 2 new street platform elevators along with an overpass to reach the elevators. In addition to, we're going to be replacing approximately like 140 linear feet.
Anthony,
express track.
One moment.
Sure.
We don't see anything on the screen. Is your colleague going to share the presentation?
That's what I was confirming, if she was on there.
Yeah.
She's on it.
Yeah, what
All right.
we need to know her information.
Hi.
Yeah. So Ruju should be on there. So
Okay, they just rejoined. So just give them 1 second.
okay. Do you want me to start over? And
You can just pause.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
All right,
get the presentation up on the screen.
problem.
I didn't notice it wasn't there.
Okay. Just let me know.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
All
great.
right, thank you. Okay, Ruju, if you go to slide 2.
All right. And if you just want to paraphrase, and then you can pick it up from where you left off.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so on this slide here, just as I was mentioning about the project scope, we're going to be installing 2 street platform elevators at the station, which is, of course, located on Broadway and Myrtle. In addition to an overpass, we're going to be replacing 140 linear feet of express track and doing utility relocations, which is actually the first phase of the start of the project next month. Will be the work on the utility relocation, as well as constructing and reconstructing ADA compliant sidewalk and curb bump outs to make the sidewalk ADA accessible. Okay, next slide. So in this slide is the draft rendering of what the new elevators and stairs will look like. This is looking east along Broadway. So this provides a perspective once the construction is all complete of what it will eventually look like, looking east along Broadway. Next slide. And this rendering here is the northbound elevator structure, which is going to be at street level. This section here is looking south along Melrose Street at the end of construction and full build out. Next slide. Okay, so on this one here, this is the milestone schedule. I guess this is like the biggest component to give a timeline of when the work of the project will begin and end. So as I mentioned in the beginning, the first it's going to kick off and start in next month in October with the utility relocations, and which we called our fourth quarter, and that will run until October of no, I'm sorry, second quarter of 2026. Then we'll have the foundation and structure work that's going to be done over Broadway and over Melrose. That will all begin next year in 2026 and go until 2027. The architectural finish with the work and structure bill will be also done in 2026 next year. And elevator installation and testing, which we will hope to have anticipated start during the third quarter, basically around this time of October of 2027, with the projected completion in the winter of 2028. So that's the milestone schedule there. Next slide. So this slide here, just showing you the visual of the utility relocation and foundation installation. This is our phase one slide here of the work that's going to be done, which shows in the red outline. I know it's pretty hard to see, but this is where the construction work zone would take place at the station as the work is being done. Next slide. This is Melrose Street, looking for the work that's there for the fourth quarter of next year, 2026, which will have a closure to do the construction work, as well as outlining some pedestrian pathways. So as that work is being done, there will still be pedestrian access along the sidewalks there on Melrose, but there will be a street closure for that. Next slide. This is phase three, also on Melrose, but this is, as you can see, the closure is not full, but we will have some partial sidewalk closures to continue and finish up the work there. Again, maintaining pedestrian access along the sidewalk. Next slide. All right, this slide here shows two maps, aerial images of the construction equipment and storage area, which we like to call our laydown. So this is where equipment will be stored as the project work is being done. Most of the main laydown area will be on Stockton Street, up towards near Broadway, and also on Arian Place. And next slide. And construction and service impact. So this slide here outlines basically the construction times that will be happening during construction, which is the hours that were approved by Department of Transportation. Is from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. We will continue to maintain all access for pedestrian traffic and sidewalks. There will be no bus interruptions. Traffic along Broadway, which we know is a main thoroughfare and a very busy one at that, will be maintained without interruptions. But of course, we do anticipate some, potential lane closures if need be for equipment to come in, to be stored. So we do anticipate that, but for the most part, there will be no interruptions. Traffic patterns will be modified as major work occurs. And there may be temporary impacts on parking on Melrose and Broadway as well. Next slide. All right, this one here for construction and service impacts. This will be mostly occurring next year, but do want to highlight that there will be 3 weekend only outages. So basically, there will be some 3 weekends scheduled to be determined that will occur where there may be some service interruption at the station itself by some of the lines. There could be single track outages based on the construction work. So we do want to highlight that. And usually when we do, which we call our general outages or GO, we notify the elected officials and community stakeholders prior to that work taking place, send notices to the community board offices and in turn distribute to the community. But we tend to give those notices of any type of outages that's going to occur for work at least a week or two ahead of in advance. And the last slide basically is our contact information. Definitely can reach me. We do have a project email that we encourage folks in the community and electeds to use when they have specific questions or issues with the project. But of course, when that does not happen, the office could reach out to me directly. My email is there, or anyone in the community can contact me as well. And that is pretty much it on the presentation. I'll be happy to take any questions, concerns, issues. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, we're gonna have, please state your name. We're gonna have all the board members first, and we're gonna have the outside if they have any concern.
Stephanie Anderson, Chairperson of Arts, Culture, and Technology Committee. You mentioned that there was going to be some work on Broadway on 2026 to 2027. Are you going to go down Broadway?
There's work actually already occurring on Broadway.
Right,
yeah.
But that's, that's the overpass.
But that's the overcoat work that other contractors are doing on there. We're specifically focusing on this station area and the core of that. And so we know Broadway intersects there with Myrtle. So that's what I was highlighting there. But most of the impact, if you will, for the construction work will be along Melrose, Stockton, in that area. But we're already trying to work down Broadway to wrap that up with the overcoat.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other board member? Right. It's all right. Rob? At you in the hot seat.
Hello, Cirillo Nunez, Board 4. Just wondering, are there going to be any changes in the service? Do you anticipate any delays? So that's number one. And number two, what type of impact do you foresee, negative impacts in terms of noise pollution and other pollutions to the community?
Okay. So for your first question, in terms of any service impact, we do not. As the only thing I mentioned in terms of impact could possibly be when it starts next year, that we will have potential 3-weekend outages coming up with the train service and service in that station based off of the work that could, is going to happen, that, they may need to request to have either very limited service or skip the station entirely based off the work that's going to occur there. But that's anticipated to happen next year. There will not be any service interruptions with the bus lines and bus services in the station area. So that will be maintained throughout. To your second question, in terms of construction impacts, noise, et cetera, that's definitely a possibility with any type of construction work that occurs of this magnitude. I would imagine, and Abby, you can correct me or speak it from, but there will be all sorts of mitigations to help lessen that. But could be noise there. Yeah. Yeah, during the work hours. Right.
Any other member?
Alan Gamboa, board member. So I would just clarify, you said that there could be some interruptions of service in the station, but not say like into and out of Manhattan like they've been doing where there's like shuttles and stuff like that.
Correct.
Okay,
Right.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, that's correct.
Any other board member going once? Twice? Soul, anybody from the public, please? Anyone, any concern from the public?
I don't see any hands. I do have a couple of questions though, and I'm going to go ahead and say this is based off of calls we've also gotten about separate projects. So we understand that notice is provided to the community board and elected officials. Are businesses also directly notified about these projects?
Yes, and in fact, we will be doing, as we get closer to the project, we are scheduled to go out to do a walk, especially to notify the businesses close within the station area to inform them of the work that's coming up. So yes, they will be notified.
All right, great. And then I had a separate question in reference to the temporary parking loss. Are the blocks where that's occurring going to be notified as well, both with posted notice and direct outreach?
Yes, they will be. Yes.
I just have one, I know we have the new, Department of Health building there, I think on that block.
Ellery.
Ellery. So is that going to be any effect in regards to some of the doctors or parking and some of the people that coming to that location on Broadway, Ellery?
The Department of Health, Broadway, and if you can,
It's the Center for Excellence at 815 Broadway. It's technically health hospitals, but it's
Okay.
it's their health center that's there.
okay. We'll definitely notify because they're within the periphery. You know, if there is any type of work that's going to be happening that could impact them, we will make sure to
Yeah, because they get a
have
lot
them.
of constituents going in there.
Yeah.
Just open up a while. We just don't want services to go away because they put a lot of money into that building.
Camacho, I think you have one in
I
the back.
think that's one day find something.
So in school age. Anything interfering like with the traffic and getting school safety, we may need more school safety for our children.
There is a school.
For the school safety, yeah.
There is a school next to there.
Right. So we'll work with our outreach team to make sure that because of proximity of the project that they'll have flaggers and all that to, you know, when they're bringing those type of materials and have to close off the street, we'll notify them too. But when we do our outreach, we'll make sure to stop at the school so they're aware too.
And that's spelling, Public Safety Committee. You just mentioned flaggers. It's been my experience that MTA does not have experienced flaggers out there, and you need to train those people that are out there with those signs because they're not doing it right. They're
Okay.
talking to each other. Some have stopped on one side and slow on the other, but they're not coordinated as far as the traffic is concerned, especially on a two-way street. So you need to have them trained properly, and you need to talk to our boss over here and let him tell you how to teach them how to direct traffic.
Okay. Taken.
I was concerned about the noise while the school's in session. Okay.
Well, I mean, the hours that are mentioned, that is a great point and question. I don't have a specific answer to like when you like when certain projects are happening at that station of like the impact and the noise. If need be, which again, we'll flag with the project team, if they're going to have what I will term as evasive noise, allow enough to where it could be disruptive, to definitely have some notices go out prior to that work occurring. But we did get the, based off the hours approved by DOT for the time frame to do that work. So I know that probably will potentially impact the school as well, depending on the work being done.
I know that for a fact on my end, when they do contractors come, they do hire flaggers, but they've hired flaggers within their organization or within their union because they're certified. So they're more lean back than the kids that we get on Section 3. So my question is, are they hiring from within the community flaggers? Because I know gentlemen and young kids that took the training, and when they hire them on Section 3, they're only there for a while, and then they kick them down the drain and leave them alone. So are we going to get any in this community in regards to Section 3 workers that are very good flaggers and bricklayers? And I know a couple of them that mix cement and cut hole, because you need hole diggers. So my question is, are you hiring from within the Section 3? Is that part of your contract, or you're only hiring the union contract that are going out with union members?
Okay, that's a good question. I'm gonna turn that over to Abby from the project team to specifically ask, or if he has an answer for that.
He's a private, yeah,
On
yeah,
the project team. for this.
okay.
Please come up to the mic.
Well, hello everyone. So, uh, we usually hire from union. That's part of our prevailing wage requirement, and we will try to reach out and see if they have any community people from around the neighborhood that are trained to do particular work. Also, regarding the flagging, we have a specific training program that everyone has to go through before they are put out on the street.
I know that all the guys that I sent out to some of the spots that went took the course and are certified and are registered, and but the only issue is that they only take them part-time when the project ends, then it ends. Also, the discrepancy that we have here is when the project ends, what happens is if there's only a little bit of work, they'll get what they call provision wages. I'm familiar. So when they put them out somewhere to work, because they may not have jobs in Bushwick, they only get $22 an hour. This is funny. But when they work in Bushwick, they get $72 an hour. You're shaking your head because you know, right? So I feel that they're doing is kind of disheartening, and putting the kids that did their due diligence and getting their license and doing what they have to, and cutting them off, only hiring the union employees because the union are giving them time and not taking care. I found out this because I was reading the RFP that Penrose and Akasa Network has with the boilers, and I found that out, and I had to go fight for these kids to get a little more time to eat. So are you guys doing that? The question is yes or no. Or are you giving provision wages and keeping the kids here, or are you going to put them in another project and cut their payroll?
Yeah, Mr. Camacho, just a point of clarification, I believe he answered that. He said that they have to hire by the union because it's a prevailing wage requirement. However, they will look to see if the union has folks here in the community.
So there is no Section 3 at all. There's no contract with the NWEs or any
You mean WBE and MBE?
any
We hire subcontractors. We have a requirement 22%.
yeah, well, those are Section 3 workers. So they hire their contracts, all their contracts, they have to hire a percentage from people within the community.
Yeah, we have a.
Okay, so the question is yes.
Yes.
And are you going to hire people from within our community? If it's yes, please, we have a list in community board, and we'll make sure that our kids and our youth will file it, and we'll make sure we hold you accountable, make sure they get those jobs. Thank you.
All right, that's it. All right, that wraps up our first agenda item. We will now move on to our second agenda item. We are fortunate to have not one, but two citywide commissioners with us this evening. So let's welcome first David Doe, Commissioner, Taxi Limousine Commission. Welcome.
for all of you to file your complaint with the TLC and also 311 reporting the bill. Let me give the board some of my
Great, excellent, prepared. We love it.
So good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for inviting me to Bushwick this evening. I'm really excited to be here. My name is David Doe, the Commissioner of the Taxi and Limousine Commission. I want to thank Chairperson Camacho and, of course, our District Manager, Leon, for having me. Thank you so much. Oh, and of course, the Parks Commissioner. Wow. Let's give her a round of applause. We are in the same operations cluster, and so it's so nice to see some of my fellow commissioners out in the public realm. In any case, I wanted to be here tonight to tell you all a little bit about the TLC. How many of you have heard about the TLC? Raise your hands. Fantastic. So the TLC is the Taxi and Limousine Commission, and we regulate all for-hire vehicles in New York City. So that means Uber, Lyft, yellow taxis, commuter vans, community car bases that all of you count on to ensure that you can get to point A to point B. But more than that, right? We also have a prosecution unit and, of course, the TLC Police Department. In addition to that, there are 200,000 drivers, 100,000 vehicles that we manage and that we regulate and make sure that they carry you all safely. So that's the first slide. And we'll send this out to all of you so that you have a copy of that. But we were formed in 1971 as an offshoot of the NYPD. And I just want to thank the NYPD officers for being here today as well. Within the TLC, we have not only the prosecution unit, which takes our drivers to court when they misbehave, but like, for example, roadway violations, double parking in your communities, or even illegal behavior. And I know that that has happened in the Bushwick community a lot, and that's why I'm here, is that there is a lot of event space and a lot of nightlife that many of these individuals, especially the unlicensed ones, we have the slides on the screen. Take advantage of our communities, of tourists, and of other unsuspecting New Yorkers. And so we want to make sure that we enforce on these illegal behaviors. In addition to that, I also want to, next slide, please, give you a little bit of fun facts. I can't see that, but I think it's 18% of all either vehicles or licensed drivers are located in the Brooklyn community. Let me go to that slide. Yeah, I have it. 18% of all licensed drivers are located in Brooklyn. That means 31,000 drivers live in our community of Brooklyn. 27% of our bases, which represents over 5,000 drivers, are located also here in Brooklyn. And so that means a huge portion of them, right, live in the community that they also serve. What I'm more excited by is the Green Rides Initiative, which started under our administration. When we first started, there was only about 100 electric vehicles. Today, there's over 13,000. And what that means is that by 2030, we're going to have 100% of a sustainable fleet or a wheelchair accessible fleet to ensure that we can transport not only people with disabilities and people who use wheelchairs, but also have an overall greener fleet. And so that's by 2030. And we're making headways today. Today, 1 out of 5 trips are in a green taxi. That means you've seen them, right? The new Ocean Fiskers, really nice vehicles. It means Tesla Model Ys. It means the BZ4X Toyotas. It means a whole bunch of different options where you get a greener ride. And in this city, we are the most accessible fleet in the country. 50% of our yellow taxis are now wheelchair accessible. And 7,400 of our FHVs are also wheelchair accessible. In addition to that, those neighbors who need to use a wheelchair are required by Uber and Lyft. We require it on Uber and Lyft to pick up a passenger who uses a wheelchair within 10 minutes or less. And so that is a regulation that no other big city in the United States has. And so because they get to operate in New York City, they must serve our passengers who have needs beyond just with a wheelchair or otherwise, in a way that is equivalent to anyone else who does not have a wheelchair. And then I already said the last bullet, which is 1/5 of all trips are now an electric vehicle. But to tell us more of the story on the enforcement side, I invited Chief Gomez, who will come up now to talk a little bit about some of our next slides. Chief?
Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? Deputy Chief Gomez, I'm part of the enforcement division. We play a huge role when it comes to enforcement when we're dealing with the TLC. Safer together, ensuring that you guys live in communities. Oh, okay. You hear me now? Okay, yeah. All right. Ensuring that we live in communities free from dangerous activity. And by enforcing the vehicle traffic laws and the city's goal of eliminating all traffic-related deaths, serious injuries starts contributing to the steep declines in fatalities in the first quarter of 2025. Deterring the illegal operation of unlicensed vehicles, lacking safety and inspections, insurances, coverage, as well as stopping unlicensed drivers who have passengers, pedestrians, and other road users. Joining over 100 interagencies, operations, MTA, NYPD to quality of life issues. We partnered a lot with the NYPD. We've also played a big role in the ghost cars. A lot of times we have a lot of cars that are having these illegal tags on them, and we play a big role in that. Next slide. Enforcement in our community. You'll see us patrolling Wyckoff Heights Hospital, Myrtle Wyckoff Plaza, Food Bazaar, and some nightlife venues. On the next slide, we have quality of life indicators for 2024. One of the most common complaints from Brooklyn, stationary violations. We've had also a number of serious TLC-related crashes, which were 6. And the most common violation in A3 precinct is traffic signal violation. Red lights, we have TLC drivers that sometimes don't pay attention to their red lights. We have over 134 million pickups and drop-offs in Brooklyn. And that's pretty much it as far as enforcement is concerned.
TLC or the TLC regulated industries. I'm not going to answer any Waymo questions tonight. No, I'm just kidding. If you want to talk about autonomous vehicles, I can answer those too. I saw your hand.
Yeah, Mr.
Okay,
coming with the mic.
we got to come with the mic. We know
Proceed.
since you in the hot seat, but take it easy. Take it easy. We got you.
Hi, Annette Spellman, Public Safety Committee. What are the requirements for what we call livery cabs here in the neighborhood?
One of the big things about livery cabs is that oftentimes you might see them operating here and then taking up parking spaces. I think that's something that I hear about on a regular basis, but they need to have off-street parking. And if they're using parking spots in the community, let us know and we can take a look at that. But within the regulatory scheme, they need to have a official location. There needs to be a vote not only by us, the community board needs to also support them, but also the city council also needs to approve them. And so we have a checklist of things that we evaluate every community car based, especially the liveries, And liveries could be Arecibo. How many of you have heard of Arecibo? No, not a lot, a few, right? And so that is oftentimes I used it when I lived in Brooklyn to get me to the airport or to the grocery store as well. But yes, there are a variety of different regulations that they must follow, and they also oftentimes get approval from the board. And I'm sure that you've written either approval of some of these community car bases or a disapproval in the past as well.
Go.
Good evening, everyone. Felix Ceballos, CB4. When you were mentioning behavior for the driver, like for double park, and also we want the community be the more secure they can. So, what the TAC do for that kind of situation, behavior, double park, and all of that, when we're talking about driver? Thank you.
Yeah, the biggest thing that you can do is help me get as much evidence as possible. So what that means is when they are doing any behavior that is seemingly violates the vehicle traffic law or violates TLC rules and regulations, double parking is one of them, blocking a bike lane, blocking a bus lane, or any of those things, crosswalks otherwise, you need to let the TLC know. So what I ask is that you don't have to engage them. You don't have to do anything. Snap a photo and then file a 311 complaint. We get 40,000 complaints on an annual basis, and about 18,000 of those have enough evidence and with a complaining witness so that we can get them to in front of a judge at oath or the Office of Administrative Trials and Hearings. And so there are a variety of different things that we do to ensure that we follow up, give your complaint the light of day, ask you more questions, and then if necessary, we will take a driver to court if we deem them that they violated a rule, regulations, or part of the VTL. And oftentimes, we also provide points to some of those violations as well. Yep.
Trujillo, I have a question about location of Palmetto and White Wolf. They park right by the KFC and they block traffic. And I believe they're not really TLC vehicles, but they're picking up people there and dropping off whatever they do.
I'm going to let the chiefs chat in just a little bit. But do you all know how to tell a TLC vehicle from a non-TLC vehicle and why it's important? All right, so this is very important. So a TLC vehicle oftentimes has a T and a C, but sometimes they have vanity plates. But underneath every single TLC vehicle, there is TLC. And so those are legal for hire vehicles. Otherwise, if they don't have that, it means they're an unlicensed vehicle or an unlicensed taxi, and you shouldn't take them. Why you shouldn't take them is because they don't have the appropriate insurance. They don't have the proper background checks to keep you all safe. And you don't know what is on their record. They might not even be licensed. And so those are the important things that you need to look out for. But for specific enforcement at locations like that, I'm going to ask the chiefs to chat.
I think the commissioner mentioned it. Whenever you get an opportunity and you guys see something like that, we need the community's help. We're a small agency. As far as enforcement is concerned, it's very difficult for us to be everywhere. So the community can help us by making a call to 311, as the commissioner mentioned, and give us those details and those informations. And what we do is that we get the complaint, we'll send out a team or teams, depending on the situation, and we'll stake the location out. We'll take a team out to that location and we'll have them undercover. We'll have them in plain clothes. We'll even have them walking around and we'll try to see if some of that stuff that you're talking about is there. And if there's any illegal operation or if there's something else going on where maybe we might involve the NYPD where they could better assist us. But like the commissioner mentioned, we're a very small agency and the best thing is for the community to be educated. Because a lot of the problems we have when we're doing enforcement, we'll stop a car, for example, and the first thing out of the passengers, oh, I got to get to work. Meanwhile, they don't realize the inside of a vehicle is not licensed or it doesn't have the proper insurance. So we're spending the time arguing with the passenger, which we don't want to do, but it's, it's a situation, right? Then becomes a situation for us. So we need the community to be aware of that. So it's part the community and part us, but it's a partnership mostly. So it'll help if you can, whenever the opportunity comes, if you do have an issue, just send out a complaint and we'll address it as soon as we can. And we'll actually send out a report on the issue.
Yeah. What's the location one more time so that we can send a squad out there and what time?
Palmetto and Wyckoff.
Okay.
Hey, you got one here?
All right. Hello.
How you doing? Mike Horton. What happens when a driver have two people in the same location with the same name and the driver pulls off and maybe 10, 15 blocks later realize that he has the wrong passenger? Is it his responsibility to take that person back where they was or drop them and leave them right there?
So this sounds like a real life case that happened. Are you? I hope you're. So in specific cases like this, it is. It is very rare. It is, and so I want to learn more about that case. But I would hope that the driver would bring the passenger back, make sure that they get the appropriate passenger, because if it's an Uber or a Lyft app, there is a specific location that they need to go to, right? And so, and that trip is linked to that specific passenger. And so, it is one of those things where they should take the passenger back, make sure that the other passenger is in their vehicle, and then making sure that you or anyone else who is in the wrong vehicle gets in the right vehicle.
Over here, turn around. Hey, see, this is a big spot.
Oh, not that way.
Hi, I'm Pablo Rivera, Community Board 4. I have a question. I also run a youth organization called Bush Sports and Recreation. When are they going to start hiring? And if they already have, and I don't know, maybe you could tell me, giving out again, taking applications for TLC licensing, because that's something that we could tell to our youth that, 17, and then they turn 18 and they're on their own. Be nice to tell them, go fill out the application.
Yeah. What's your name, sir?
Pablo.
Pablo. So what is Pablo talking about is a licensing cap. So just to give a brief history, in 2015, there was the advent of Uber coming into our city, right? And then all of a sudden, the taxi and medallion industry was impacted disproportionately. There were suicides, 9 suicides that happened because the yellow industry basically was decimated by this new billion-dollar company. And so in 2018 and 2019, the city council approved a new law that said that there would be a cap on licenses. And, that at that time, there was about 20, 30,000, and then it ballooned all the way up to over 125,000. Now we are in a better place because there was a lot of attrition of these licenses because of the COVID-19 pandemic and otherwise. And so every single year we look at the data, we look at the information, and we want to make sure that outer borough access, that there's EV chargers, that customers get a response time in an appropriate time frame, be it 5 to 7 minutes, and we evaluate that every single year. I have not released licenses since 2023. And so that's been 2 years. Why haven't I done that? It's because we think that right now there is a healthy number of licenses in the ether. But, we evaluate every single year. And right now, if one of your students or one of the folks that you work with would like a license, the only pathway to that is a wheelchair accessible vehicle. And I understand that those vehicles are a little bit more expensive as well. But yes, so right now we're not releasing any additional licenses, is the short answer to your question.
We got 2 here, and then we're going to go on Zoom.
Hi, Jason Gurr, CB4. Just want to echo what Mr. Trujillo said over there. Over at Palmetto, between Ridgewood Place and Wyckoff, there's a lot of unlicensed gypsy cabs over there. Can you tell us, what exactly should I put in 311 if I have a problem that I want to complain?
Yeah, so with gypsy cabs, they're unlicensed within the framework of the TLC. And so it's a little bit more difficult. And so we need our enforcement arm, either undercover or otherwise, you sending a photo and that we can't look them up because they're just operating in an illegal manner. But I'll ask the chief to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you have specifics, as many specifics as you can, you don't have to, now that we're hearing it here, I'll make sure that we put that in the plans to try to send a team over to the location and see what we can do. But what you guys can do is it's very easy. Just send out a call, just give us specifics. And what helps us is the times. You don't have to worry about the vehicles because once we're there, we'll be able to identify them right away because we do this. This is what we do, right? So just give us the times, the days in specific, and if it's in the morning during rush hour or it's in the evening during rush hour. That way we know what type of team or what teams to send at what time. That's pretty much it. You don't have to go into too much detail because I know it's pretty difficult to try to explain all that. But you give us that information and we'll give it our best shot. All right.
My name is Juan Serra. I'm CB4. I made a complaint in 311 about a TLC vehicle on April 23rd. The audience is going to be next month. So is there anything, I mean, you're encouraged to do us like 311, et cetera, but I think, I don't know, 6, 7 months, I don't know how much. That's a long time frame. Is there anything that we can do or you can do to shorten that time frame? Because I don't think that's working.
You're saying the court case is next month?
The audience, yeah, October. They send me emails, but then they communicate on July, then on October.
Yeah, the hearing, so oftentimes hearings are scheduled out for a long time. Our prosecutors are ready and willing, and I don't want to throw another city agency under the bus, but I think there are a lot of backlogs to the hearings, and oftentimes, right, because of due process, and a lot of times drivers know this, they are waiting and waiting and waiting, hoping that either the complaining witness, and I hope you still show up, and we're going to support you in that, does not show up so that then the judge would just throw out that case. But if we're partners in this and the TLC shows up, I hope that you show up so that we can still hold that driver accountable all these years later, or excuse me, all these months later. But the biggest thing is what we do is we offer settlements to every driver in terms of a monetary fine and a penalty on their record, either points or otherwise, so that they don't redo this. Oftentimes, though, that they still choose the due process because they know that there is a length of time between the summons or the complaint and when the hearing will take place. But yes, I get what you're saying. And hopefully, sure. Yes.
How you doing? Over here. Christopher Graham, CB4. Question, in regards to what you spoke about just a minute ago in regards to the licenses. To my understanding, at one point, there was a moratorium on handing out the TLC licenses. So my question is, do all Uber drivers have to have a TLC license? And also, I do know that at one point in time, the system was circumvented by, big companies coming in and purchasing like the Uber fleet, so that in order for you to drive, and that's why there was so many cars on the road, because now they bought them up, and now in order for you to drive, you have to rent from them. And so is something being done to circumvent that? Because I know that a lot of the drivers, they now have to rent the car. They can't use their personal car because it doesn't have the TLC license.
That's right. So like I told one of the other members of Community Board 4 is that right now we're not releasing any additional licenses. However, we evaluate it every single year and we release licenses when there is a need. In 2023, I and the rest of the board released about 8,000 TLC licenses, EVs. And they were taken up, 90% of them were taken up by individuals. And so I knew at that point is that what I wanted to do was make sure that individuals, maybe like you and maybe like your neighbors, would have a pathway to the middle class so that they can own their own small business. And that's what that license meant. But you are right in that second piece that you said is that a lot of leasing companies in 2018, 2019, and even before decided to put these licenses under their corporate names and then rent them out. There's not a lot that the TLC could do about that. But we are looking at ways and a pathway for long-time licensees who've been driving for a car base, Uber, Lyft, a livery base, a community car base, to be able to one day own their own license so that they don't have to continue renting from these big fleets. But that is not a tomorrow. That is going to be a few months down the line as we look at the data and look at opportunities for people to own their own license. But you would have to have already worked within the TLC specter for at least a while.
Wait.
One sec, Chris. One sec. The mic is coming.
So with that being said, does the Uber drivers, do they have to have a TLC license?
So TLC licenses, driver's licenses are not limited. It's the vehicle licenses that are limited. They do not need to have a vehicle license. They can rent from these fleets. But you know, it is frustrating oftentimes when a driver complains to me that they have to pay upwards of $425 for a regular Camry to $800, $900 a week to be able to just work. That's ridiculous. And so I want to make sure that there is a pathway for many of our drivers to be able to have their own vehicle license so that they could work for themselves instead of having $400 to $900 of their weekly paycheck to somebody else. Right.
No one on Zoom. Thank you, Commissioner, for your time. We appreciate it. Don't be the last time to come here. We need to see you more.
Anytime. Please invite me. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to put these little cars and these flyers up front. And I'm going to give it to the district manager. Is that okay?
Yeah. Park the car in front.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Camacho. We will move on now and welcome our Park Citywide Commissioner, Iris Rodrigo-Rosa, who some of you may know from her time at CB4. Welcome.
Thank you, Celeste. I don't know, because I'm going to tell you honestly, I'm here to speak on a personal note, okay? But I do have, what I wanted to share with you is that I'm going to take back some things. Your chairperson, Camacho, has indicated to me an article that just came out today on the New York Post that I'm definitely going to look into and take aggressive action on it as well. But I wanted to just share with you, how many of you in this room were around in the late, in the early 80s? That were around in the early 80s, okay? In the, well, part of the community board in the neighborhood, okay. So I just wanted to be able to, I asked to be able to come here as a guest speaker, and I want to tell you why, okay? I was your community board district manager for 6 years, okay? I was here. I was the youngest district manager ever appointed in the city of New York. I took office at the age of 23, okay? Back in November of 1979. So do the math, okay? I was raised in this neighborhood, okay? So I went to PS 145 and I went to Enrico Fermi Junior High School, 111. 111 on Star Street. So I became a product, and then I was in 1978, July, I became in the borough president. I was a community board liaison from the borough president's office at that time, and then served here as your liaison. And then shortly thereafter, John Derashevsky, who was a district manager at the time, he left, and then I was actually selected. I couldn't believe it, because I said, let me take a shot at it. And I was selected, and I couldn't believe that I was the only Latina, the only Hispanic in the Brooklyn to be able to serve in this role. and being the youngest. And during the time that I was here, it was during the time when we had a lot of vacant lots. Okay. We had insurmountable, the buildings were burning. Okay. We lost a lot of buildings, a lot of vacant lots. And I'm here at 23 years old. So what the heck am I doing here? But I wanted to serve my community and do the best that I could. So I worked tirelessly with the Department of Sanitation, Department of General Services, rat control and everything like that to take care of these vacant lots and be able to fence them and do what we can until there was new housing put in. So I did that during the time I was here. I also saw to it that there was housing. The New York City Housing Authority created housing in this community, and they did the P60 project, which was a big, tall building in the middle, right? And 21 floors. And we said, wait a minute, as part of the community board, we said, no, I mean, this community has, like 3 stories, 4 stories. It can't be that high. And that's when you got the Hope Gardens and received all of that from housing. So for me, during that time, I felt that I impacted the community, but I love my Bushwick community. It means so very much to me. And I want to thank Celeste, and I want to thank the chairperson for giving me the opportunity to come here. And now that I'm serving as the first Latina New York City Parks Commissioner in the city of New York, do that. And to say that I was a product of this community, because sí se puede, you can accomplish with a lot of work and a lot of commitment that you have, you can do that. So I just wanted to say that I am very committed to the parks here in the community. I know that we have, I just received the article of what's happening, that happened in the park across the street from PS 145. So I'm going to definitely be addressing that. We also did we did a bathroom that's called the Portland Loo. We did that in Irving Square Park. We did that, a bathroom as well. We did that. We are going to continue to be able to look specifically at the at what's happening in our parks here. I grew up in Maria Hernandez Park, which was I called it Knickerbocker Park, okay? I don't care. It was Bushwick Park. It was Knickerbocker Park to me, okay? So that was, now it's Maria Hernandez. But I have to say to you that I am very much committed to the work that's going on here in Bushwick. You have wonderful, amazing leadership here. And I see everyone here. And I also was around when the 83rd precinct built their new, that's not so new anymore, right? The Knickerbocker, it was a Knickerbocker and Bleecker is a new precinct now. So for me, I joined the Parks Department and went through the ranks, but I want to tell you that I'm very much committed to the Bushwick community. As the commissioner of New York City Parks, I will definitely be able to come back, and I'm going to give you a whole slew of information. But understand that we have something that's called the Vital Parks tool. I want you to look at your parks. If you go onto the website, the New York City Parks website, there's a tool now that we have that on any park that you wish to find out information on, you have detailed information on that park, okay? It's giving you the tool to understand what's happening. But just know that kids go to school, kids have to do that, but where do they go next? It's to our parks, right? Am I correct? So it's important for us to be able to give quality parks in the community, and I am committed to be able to do that. But I came as a guest to say hello because I know you have a very long agenda, but I will be back, and I wanted to say thank you to all of you for the service that you do as community board members, as interested parties in the community, because you know what? You got to go to school, you got to go to work. These are things you have to do. You don't necessarily have to come and come to meetings and speak about the issues in your community, but you do that because you care. So congratulations to you, and a round of applause for yourselves for being able to do this.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. We appreciate you for coming. And I remember when you worked with Nadine, Ms. Whitted. So that's right. Yes. And you was in 335 Central. Yes, at the health department. So I got on the board. I was a young kid, and I remember you very, very much. And I want to thank you. And it's good to know that we got somebody from Bushwick where we complain. We can go to them and say, remember how this was? So we're going to work together. Thank you. Thank you. I can go.
All right, folks, that concludes our public hearing for this evening. My suggestion for folks that have questions for anyone that's here, whether that be the MTA, the TLC, or for parks, please find them as we transition. You may be able to ask them a question before they leave this evening offline. If for whatever reason you don't catch someone, you can always reach out to the board's office and we're happy to pass that information along. All right, so we'll move on to our regular meeting agenda, starting with our first roll call. Can someone pass me the attendance sheet?
Everyone sign in, all the board members sign in, please.
Please come up front, board members, sign in. I'm gonna have them get food at the 83rd precinct report. Is that okay? Thanks for my counsel. Please pass me the attendance sheet. Okay. All right, everyone, please be ready. Isa Abni, Stephanie Anderson, Tiani Belliard, Joanna Bennett, Robert Camacho, Tevin Campbell, Felix Ceballos, Andrew Choi, Alvina Davis, Freddie Fowler, Joanna Fuentes Singh, Alan Gamboa. All right, Jason Gares, Christopher Graham, Ann Guiney is excused. Elaine Hamilton, Zachary Hendrickson, Courtney Henley is excused. Deborah Hicks.
Present.
Got you, Deborah. Tanisha Honeygan.
Present.
Barbara Jackson. Barbara. All right. Virgie Jones. Sarah Jones Thomas. Luisa Jose. Got you, Luisa. Giovanni Justiniano. Nancy Keefe. Cindy LeBron. Christine Meldon. Freddie Madison is absent. Inform the district office. Alex Moreno. Romika Nichols Barnes is excused. Zuma Navoa. Cirillo Nunez. Yerenson Ortiz Guzman resigned. Laura Ranzado potentially resigned, waiting for confirmation. Shrey Richardson. Pablo Rivera. Raul Rubio. Elise Ruiz. Josue Salazar. Milagro Sandoval. Juan Serra. Annette Spellin. B. Spiderman. James Stewart. Savannah Ty is excused. Christian Tate. Ben Tucker. Jerry Valentine.
Present.
Gotcha, Jerry. Linda Whitfield. And I got you marked present, Alan. All right, I'm gonna do the
Hi, this is
tally.
Andrew Choi. I'm present.
Got
I
you,
listened to-
Andrew.
Thank you.
Was. 32 board members present constitutes a quorum. Thank you, everyone. All right. We will move on now to our second agenda item, which is acceptance of the agenda.
Hello, board members, please.
Is there a motion from the board to accept the agenda? Alvina Davis makes a motion, second by Zach Hendrickson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Agenda item number 3, acceptance of the previous meeting minutes. Is there a motion from the board to accept? Yep. All right. Annette Spellin, Virgie Jones seconds. All in favor? Any abstentions? Any opposed? So moved. All right, we will move on now. As some of you may have noticed with the agenda, we're trying out a new agenda this evening. We have our parliamentarian, Ms. Joanna Bennett, is going to give us a brief note. Ms. Bennett.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. And I have been introduced. My name is Joanna Bennett. I am the parliamentarian. Now, the job of the parliamentarian is basically to keep the meeting flowing, to make sure that things are done fairly. And so we have this thing called parliamentary procedures. We've got city charter. We've got all of these things. But basically, it's my job to try to make sure that the meeting is conducted fairly. And one of the things that makes my job easier that we have 2 very competent people, our district manager and our chairperson, who adhere to these procedures. As a matter of fact, they know them better than I do. As one of the things I wanted to point out is when you are going to speak, please state your name and your association. You may be called to want to speak twice. Each time, give your name and your association, whether you're Community Board 4, whether you are a business owner, whether you represent a non-profit, whatever. Please state, if you're with a city agency, that's important. Later on in the agenda, Mr. Camacho is going to give a report, and you will find out exactly from his report why that is essential for the records for the city. The other thing I wanted to suggest is I get complaints about the lengths of the meetings. There's very little I can do about that, except I want to suggest when you'll hear me say time check. And that's, again, to keep the meeting flowing. It would be helpful, and I want to suggest, and I know not everyone can do this, if you can read the committee reports ahead of time. The other thing I want to say is address your questions to the committee chair. That is Mr. Camacho. That is so we don't end up with arguments, personal going back and forth. He will recognize you either, with your hand raised or on Zoom, which Kimberly Ortiz is so good about that. So I want to, again, I think that's essentially what I wanted to say to everybody. Again, my name is Joanna Bennett, and if I'm wrong about something, call me out. I'll do my best to correct it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bennett.
Thank you, Ms. Bennett. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, so get ready. We have our A3 precinct report now, Deputy Inspector David Poggioli, and I will ask board members at this time to quietly get some food this evening. And once board members have finished, we welcome the public to also get some food this evening.
Yes, only board members, please, and take it quiet.
Yeah, board members first, and then we open to everyone else. Welcome, Deputy Inspector.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation to come out and speak tonight, and welcome everybody back after a long, healthy summer. So instead of just standing up here alone tonight, I'm going to have some of my colleagues come up throughout the presentation because we really want to hit a couple points home this evening. Like we always traditionally start off right with those CompStat figures, and we continue to highlight the decrease in reported index crime in the community, but in really looking at what's driving us and what's most important to highlight is some reoccurring conditions that we've seen regarding larcenies of vehicle accessories and then in an elderly jewelry scam. So I'm going to have Officer Prezano come up and speak in a second. But before we do that, I just want to speak a little further, right? Like last night, which always precedes this event, is we had our monthly community council meeting, our first meeting after the summer. And meeting ended, and reflecting on it throughout the day today, I really want to say, last night was one of the better meetings we've had in that building. And it's not because of the story we told of the cop of the month, right? Even though it was a very notable story and great police work. There was two other stories that were spoken about last night that I really just think paints the picture of why we all do so well together, and not speaking specifically from the agency, speaking from, right, like a staple in this Bushwick community. And there was two instances that came up. The first thing that came up was the success of our summer youth camp, right? We had 42 kids in a summer youth camp that is a event that is organized through the police department, right? But that event doesn't go off just because of the police department's effort. There was so much community engagement and support to send these kids to this youth camp, and the experiences that they had Monday through Friday, you know, staged over in 400 Irving Avenue, but there was weekly trips, and it just had me thinking, right? Because it's something we always speak about, whether we speak about it here, we speak about it in our clergy council, in our community council, or just in everyday conversations with constituents of this community, is what are we doing for our youth, right? How can we better engage our youth? And then it really had me sitting there thinking last night, like, this is it. Like, we all kind of how to diagnose this problem of, or issue of what we could do to better engage our youth. And then we have this great story of these 42 kids going to this police department summer youth camp, but are only able to attend because of the community support, right? The financial support to sponsor these kids to come, instead of sitting in front of a screen for the whole summer. Like, they got out there and got to experience things that wouldn't have happened otherwise. Second point that I want to highlight was something that really started with the initiation of what the community board brought to us, which was to take a fresh look at some of these denied residential streets that were on the block party list, right? They really wanted a fresh look taken at this whole process. So we sat down in the spring and we chaired a meeting with everybody who was a willing applicant, and we set forth some type of expectations. And then Celeste and Mr. Camacho asked, hey, what can we do now for some of these blocks that maybe have sat dormant on this denied list for a while? And you know, obviously, my friends from Palmetto Street are in the corner there. I'm not going to ask them to come speak again as they did last night, because I was truly appreciative of them coming out and speaking. But the point was this was a block that was unable to have a licensed street event for over 20 years, right? And because of the community board, they asked us to sit down block by block and kind of take a fresh look at this. And then I had the privilege of sitting down with a couple of residents from Palmetto Street, and they just laid out how they have organized on the block themselves in forming a block association, and just all the benefits they've seen from the increased communication on being on this residential street on Palmetto Street. And when I sat with them and they sat and explained this to my office, I said, listen, I was like, obviously, you know, approved for the block party permit, but I only have one ask, is that to come to our next community council meeting and just bring this forward, right? Bring this forward, this approach that you guys took on Palmetto Street, the benefits you've seen from this approach, and how just singular, right? Individual residential organization, block by block, just really pushes the public safety measures forward. So again, thank you last night for coming and for speaking. But that's what I want to highlight, like, has nothing to show up in crime figures and things like that. And obviously I'll open it up to questions at the end, but those are the two things, like just the joint community engagement, right, and partnership in supporting the youth in the community over the summer, and then just, you know, the tremendous work by some residents in this community and the benefits they've seen from that. So I'm going to pass it along for Officer Prezano momentarily, and then I'm going to introduce some of the members of our Q team.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Officer Prezano. I do crime prevention here. A lot of familiar faces. I'm sure I look a little familiar. The two crimes we want to just touch base on today are the catalytic converters. They've been being stolen. They're wanted because there's some precious metals in them that they get paid for a lot when they get them from your cars. We're going to be hosting an event to be etching them in your car windows. So please, if you don't already, follow us on social media. We run Facebook and Twitter. Follow us there because that's going to be the first place I post it. I'm also going to get it out to everyone so we can post it hopefully by the end of the month or early October. The sooner the better to be etching the catalytic converters and your windows. things to just keep in mind, they're going after Hondas and Priuses. So if those are your cars, extra special attention to them. If you can park them in private lots, in garages, helpful. Another thing we can help is community members. If you're out, this is usually something that's happening in the middle of the night, late at night. I worked a lot of different hours this summer with the summer violence program, and there are people out at night. Sometimes you're walking your dogs. People are getting home, people getting home from work. We all got different crazy schedules. If someone sees something, to please just call the police. Don't engage, don't get involved. But for you to call 911 and get us to some place that we aren't there at the moment and help us direct our efforts, very helpful. You can also weld it onto your car, make it harder for them to remove it. Just some tips we have there, but also please follow us on the social media. This way, when we do our event, we can really, explode and get all my community members there. The second topic we want to go over is a new jewelry scam that we've had. I know it sounds like back old school, but it's coming back and it's hitting a lot of our older adult community here. I came here 195 Linden last week with the seniors. I went to a couple of senior residents, tried to get the word out to as many people as quickly as possible. We want to just let the community, because they could target anyone. You don't have to be an older adult, but they seem to be preying on them. Extra friendly strangers we need to be wary of, because they'll come and they'll engage you in conversation. They'll start a real warm conversation, try to get close, touch you, make it a very personal conversation. And as they're doing that, they're removing jewelry. Or we had one, they come up, they ask for directions. And as you ask for directions, oh, thank you, this and that, they remove your bracelet. You don't even realize. There was another one, they told them, oh, you look like my deceased brother. Let me look at you. You're so handsome. You're bringing back memories, hugging them, doing whatever. So at the end of the day, let's just be careful. Let everyone know, the strangers, let's keep distance, keep, vigilant that they might be nice. They might want to befriend you, but keep a distance, because we're losing thousands of dollars of jewelry and stuff like that. With that being said, friendly strangers, I just want to touch base on, don't accept help at the ATM machine. That's another place they like to prey on people. Like, oh, the ATM machine is broken, let me help you. And now all of a sudden more money is missing than you thought. And the last one, just to touch real quick with the cell phones, because when I came to the senior centers last week and was talking about this, some of them raised their hands, they have questions, they have this. And there was a lady that's like, oh, every time I go to the bus stop, someone different is asking, like, can I borrow your phone? Can I make a phone call? And she's like, what do you think about that? And I said, well, personally, I don't think it's a good idea. I know we're a community. I know we all want to bond together, help each other out, but make sure that, safety first. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to tell them to go take a walk, but oh no, I'm sorry, my phone's 2%. Or, if you want to make that phone call for them, never hand your phone to anyone. But I also just want to put my phone in my hand where they can grab it as well. Sorry, not today. My phone's at 2%. I got to make my way home too. So any questions, I'll be here at the end. I'll be around if you need me. If you guys have, like you said, the block association meetings, clergy council meetings, anything else you want me to come talk at, or just to come answer questions one-on-one, feel free to reach out. I love doing that. Love talking with the community, giving them, real quick access, one-on-one access to an officer with answers. Thank you all.
Thank you, Lisa. And flies in the back, right? We have some flies? Yeah. So real important on that elderly jewelry scam, right? Something we all need to be concerned of. Why? Because it's all about interest to continue to spread this message. As I said last night, if there's 50 people in this room and this message is only absorbed by 50 individuals, we're really not all doing our part. It takes us all to go back now into the community and spread that message, right? And especially because it concerns our seniors of the community, right? Sometimes they're not as able to come to forums such as this. Right? They may not be in a position to be on Zoom at this moment. Not that it's not possible, but we have to think about that. What are the extra efforts we're making for some of the more vulnerable components of our community that we wouldn't traditionally do? And this is a message we need to take back to them, right? Because anybody who chooses to perpetrate a crime on a vulnerable population, we do need to take that seriously, especially when it's being done under a ruse. Okay, like someone's good intentions, as Lisa said, like going up and offering a blessing or initiating communication because they resemble a family member. Like that's taking advantage of somebody has good intentions and an effort now is property being removed from them. So let's please take those flyers, bring them back. Let's get them posted in some of these other gathering locations throughout the community. Our Q team rolled out July 28th over the summer. Something that's been highlighted often through the media, started as a pilot project in about 5 commands in New York City, and then rolled out through the patrol bureau at the last week of July. We sat down with some of our community stakeholders, our elected officials and representatives, and had a meeting at the 8-3 precinct just to try to explain this motto, right, which is now merging our neighborhood coordination offices, our youth offices, our traffic safety team, right? And what is it doing? It's a focused approach on some of the quality of life concerns within the community. It's a well-staffed program with the special operations lieutenant serving as the overhead. We have 2 supervisors, our Q team 1 supervisor, Sergeant Steve Patty, and then obviously our NCO Sergeant Hook took over as our Q team 2 supervisor. It's 7-day-a-week coverage, and officers are out there from 10 a.m. up until 2 a.m. But again, as I explained yesterday, as conditions dictate, of course, those hours are flexible and can be modified as conditions dictate. Off to a real successful start. And how do we judge and gauge our successfulness is the engagement that we get from the community, right? It's one thing to call 911 and 311, right? Those are a huge part of it, but it's also the communications we received through our community board, right? Through our community council, through the relationships we do have with the local elected officials, where we could go take that constituent's complaint firsthand and apply our multifaceted approach to go out and correct some of these things that have been brought to us, whether it's derelict vehicles, unlicensed food trucks on some of our commercial corridors, right? Unlicensed mopeds in the community, all things that our Q team has been addressing since the summertime. Will continue to do so. I'm going to briefly bring up 2 of the newly assigned officers just to introduce themselves and continue to build that relationship here.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Officer Romero Chavez. I'm Q Team David, which covers Flushing to Bleecker, Cypress to Wilson. I do the afternoon, 6 p.m. to 2 in the morning.
Officer Neil, also Q Team David, partnered with him.
Right, that's foundationally the way we build success of a program, right? And I specifically brought Officer Romero Chavez because he only briefly served in the NCO program as one of the housing NCOs, and then Officer Neal is a new addition off of a patrol team to the Q team. So again, new face, help to build a relationship, and then in turn, what does it let them see do? Like firsthand after our community council meeting last night or today, obviously there's going to be some issues and concerns that are brought up, and now that direct line of communication to the Q team officers. Having said that, I'll open it up now to any questions.
Before we start the questions, can any of the outsiders or visitors here can have some whatever's left over? Please get in the line, and there's some. Ms. Davis.
Yeah, members of the public, help yourselves to some food.
Elvina Davis, Community Board 4, cop of the month.
Madam President, you're always good for that. Where's the time check? So, cop of the month last night, real good story. Very notable police accomplishment. And it started off of, the arrest took place August 7th. Right. But the event really initiated a couple of days prior. We had an incident of gunfire up along like Cypress Avenue and Troutman Street. Some early investigative work led to a potential vehicle involved. And what do? Right. We passed that forward to our operational side of the command. Our neighborhood safety team deployed in an area because that's what they do. Right. We always talk about precise deployment in order to combat conditions. One of the specialties of that NSTT team, right? They're there to suppress violence in the community. They end up engaging the vehicle as it's sitting in a no standing spot outside of Scott and Flushing. Engage both occupants of that vehicle, conduct a field investigation, and what's recovered out of that automobile is not one, not two, but three loaded firearms, 2 9mm and a 380, right? So now that's 2 occupants, 3 firearms out of a car, 3 less firearms on the streets of Bushwick. Bring those back to the command with some further arrest processing, and one of the occupants of the vehicle in turn was charged for the shots fired incident that took place 48 hours prior. So what is that? That's obtaining video surveillance, that's sharing intelligence, that's tactical, safe, constitutional policing that resulted in 2 arrests, a re-arrest for the shots fired incident, and 3 loaded firearms that won't see the streets of Bushwick ever again.
Anyone else?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Rowena Bennett, Community Board 4. I serve Board Permits and Licenses Committee, and candidates come before us wanting permits for liquor licenses. We get responses from the community about noise, dirt, etc. And then we hear from the business owners, oh, that's not my fault, I didn't know anything, etc. So what I think is that these business owners attend the builder CEOs, et cetera, where then they can hear directly from the community. So my question is, and the complaints about their neighbors. My question is, what outreach do you do? And how often are meetings held? The last time 3 or 4 months.
So the Build the Block meetings have discontinued with the start of the Q Team program.
Really?
Yeah, there's no more Build the Block programs, which is why you haven't seen those scheduled. And for that specific, like what you're speaking of, I think the best way to craft a response to that is let's go direct to the location that's receiving the complaints. Right? Like, let's schedule a one-on-one with that location so we can now bring the complaint of the community and bring it to the specific location that we're speaking of. Because we do our quarterly nightlife meetings, right? Within the precinct, we have our community board involved in that as well. The Office of Nightlife takes place in that as well. But that is what a conceptual meeting with broad ideas, right, are discussed. I think if there's specific locations that have been identified as being potentially problematic, I think it makes much more sense to contact the representatives of the establishment and at their leisure, whether it's at their establishment, obviously the precinct's always an option, and we could sit down and say, hey, these are the complaints we have received about your location, and let's work together in addressing some of these complaints.
Virgie Jones. Mine's is not a complaint, but it's a compliment for the July the Family Day at the park. You guys did an awesome job.
Thank you very much.
So many people there. And I had personally told you myself, but it was a lot of people there, but your officers all around, they were engaging. And when Mayor Adams came in, I was like, should I get closer to the run? Not. Correct, Bushwick Family Day. But I want to say again, you guys did an awesome job, and he was there a long time, but you were there right with him, and we want to say thank you for that.
No, thank you very much. And we're there to support that unit. The organizers are here. That's really the gratitude goes to them, to the success of that event.
I have one back before I go back there. I wanted the people to understand something. He mentioned there were 42 kids went to summer camp. Last year, there were only 32. And Most of them were kids from this community, and some of them couldn't afford to pay for summer camp. And the officers took money out their pocket and paid for some of the kids. All right, they didn't tell you that. Also, some of them had the money for the summer camp, but some of the kids didn't have money to buy food while they were in the place. Also took money out of their pockets. So those are things that people don't see or hear or know. Also, I had gotten wind of it, and I said, we have a lot of people in this community opens business, and they're doing pretty good. You know, some of them are doing good. Some of them are barely struggling. But some of them can donate something, regardless. So I went to our favorite cannabis place, our legal places. The legal cannabis places. 2 young kids that were from this community. One got a license for being disenfranchised because he was arrested for smoking weed all the time. He's a grown kid now. I know him since he was a child. Another one was, he doesn't live in here. He lives in Coney Island, but he saw what was going on and he wanted to volunteer. So he tells me, Camacho, I got some money for you. Made out a check. The gentleman made out a check. And we have lot 45. Raymond that's here. He's been involved with Barbara Smith, him himself made a contribution to the kids. They had enough money. They bought their shirts. They bought them bags. They bought them goodies and get them snacks. So I want to thank them because they stepped up to the plate and says, whatever you want. At that meeting, Mr. Kurt Barnes has a bowling with the kids to put for association. That gentleman came up and gave him a $500 check. Those are people that are giving back. Not only that, that young kid feeds the homeless on Broadway and DeKalb and has them cleaning the whole Broadway. Every day they clean that street nice and clean. So those are the people that are giving us back. And the officers that act, they didn't even act. Someone mentioned it to me and I found out about it. And I said, well, we're going to take care of it. Then the program ended the last week in September. And the superintendent of high schools, they start their vacation because they need the schools to get ready for September. So the last week of August, it wasn't going to be open. So I spoke to the district superintendent of 32, and she spoke to the superintendent of high schools, and they got together and they left the kid the last week of summer camp before they went out for we could safeguard them the whole week before they started the school again. And that was, you know, community linking with people and everybody doing their fair share. That's what we have to do with our people now. So we really all got to get together to support. So I want to thank you, the officers, and also thank you, because I know a lot of times they always beat you guys up because y'all making a lot of noise over there, but you do give back. It doesn't tolerate, but I know you take care of it, and everybody passes the buck. So we want to make sure that we're all in a safe and wonderful place and quality of life. So let me give these 2 guys the floor.
There and your team. I just wanted to say some nice words. Oh, Cirilo Nunez, Community Board 4. Just wanted to say some nice things about 2 of your officers. 2 weeks ago, I took an elderly gentleman there. He needed some help with something, and he didn't have all the information he needed. Officer Velasquez at the front, she just kept trying and looking into things. Officer Garcia, a male officer, was walking by and he overheard the conversation. He jumped in, gave a pretty good input, and finally they were able to help this elderly gentleman. So I told them I would mention it to you. Please go back and let them know.
Yes,
And
absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Gio Justiniano, CB4. Good evening, Deputy Inspector. I did just want to piggyback off of Joanna Bennett's question. I am a committee member that sits on the Permits and Licenses Committee, and the issue that we have often with these people coming to apply for these SLA applications is not only do they mention that they don't have any complaints whatsoever, but that they have a wonderful relationship with the 83rd precinct. And then you go on 311 and see that there's like 37 complaints against them from members of the often, I feel like in a lot of these meetings, crime seems to be downtrending despite recent events in the neighborhood. And we were interested to know, like, not only is what is the 83rd precinct going to do about these quality of life issues that we're experiencing, particularly on our side of Bushwick, where there's it's a monoculture, right? It's very saturated with nightlife, and public disturbances, noise complaints, but also is the 83rd precinct able to produce a report monthly to this committee, to this community board regarding, what is being done about the noise complaints with a lot of the nightlife? I mean, all sides of Bushwick, to be honest, but, from Jefferson Street Station to Wyckoff Avenue, it gets crazy from Friday to Sunday. And a lot of people, many of you may not have, we have hours, like recommended hours. Right now, it's the good neighbor policy, which I think we're still discussing, but we are holding a lot of the applicants to just to curb the oversaturation that we have of nightlife. People, businesses selling alcohol to 4 a.m., which contributes to a lot of the chaos in the area on the weekends, a lot of the mess on the weekends. And, even though that side of Bushwick is mostly renters, a lot of you on this side are property owners. I think as a community, we probably don't have a full understanding of what residents are going through because of all this excess that's happening on our neighborhood. We're like a Greenwich Village. So we are interested to know from you, Deputy Inspector, if a report is possible every month.
Specifically documenting what, because each 311 complaint, right, or any 311 that's generated is answered out within the system within a reasonable amount of time for that specific complaint. Exactly what you're speaking about, and we've spoken about this previously, right? Prior to our summer violence zone deployment, like where were our footposts up along, right? They were on Wyckoff Avenue from Flushing to Willoughby, Saddam Street, along that area. They were redeployed through that summer violence model, where we spoke of them now being on the other side of Knickerbocker Avenue by Eldred and Shaford. And we did speak upon the completion of that deployment that we were going to be relocating those initial footpost officers back up to Wyckoff. Because I completely agree with you in that regard. They do need to be up there. There is absolutely no doubt about it. We've and gladly here, right? You have the 2 Q team officers who actually cover that place. So that's great that they're hearing exactly from a constituent, a member of the community board, about some of their issues they're seeing within their geographical area of jurisdiction. So we appreciate that, because that's what they're here for. That's what that Q team model is supposed to address. But I wholeheartedly agree with you with the level of nightlife that's up there and the need for the added presence, 1,000%. Not that it can't be done collectively, right? But the way I look at it is each specific business owner, right? Like the network between them and the self-maintenance of the individual properties probably results into an overall better sense up there. Would you agree with that as well? Right. And that's what I'm looking to advocate through the Office of Nightlife. Like we have business districts, right? We have Knickerbocker Avenue merchants. We have different commercial corridor management groups or networks. And I think taking that model up to Wyckoff Avenue up to Troutman Street, up to Jefferson Street, up to Star Street in that area, and building a network between those commercial partners will help alleviate some of the conditions. And I look forward for us to be a part of that network as well. Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with your sentiments there.
Thank you, Deputy Inspector. And like a report or
Maybe we could speak after just for exactly like report, right? Because a lot of our things are publicly accessible now through ComStat reporting, through some of our quality of life things. But maybe we could sit down after and I could better understand exactly like what type of report or documentation you're looking for.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Parliamentarian.
All right. I don't see any other hands. Anyone on Zoom? No one on Zoom? All right. We thank you, Deputy
Good.
Inspector.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, committee chairpersons, please be ready. Next, we have our committee reports, starting with environmental protection, transportation, sanitation, parks and rec. Ben?
Hi, good evening, everybody. Ben Tucker, Chairperson of EPTS Committee, Environmental Protection, Transportation, Sanitation, Parks and Recreation. I'll try and keep this brief. We actually have two committee reports to summarize. We met in June at the end of the month, after the monthly meeting, and we met again in July. Our June meeting, we didn't have any recommendations, so I'll be even quicker on that one than the July meeting. We had an informational presentation from DOT in June. DOT is doing a bunch of improvements along Broadway, they're improving pedestrian crossings all along Broadway between Bushwick and Bed-Stuy. And that what they're doing is there's a list of the improvements that'll be in the committee report, but they're going to make a bunch of the sidewalks ADA accessible, improve the ramps on them. And then there were a bunch of crosswalks that were particularly dangerous, that had a particularly high amount of car crashes and pedestrian injuries. What they're doing is on those crosswalks, they're extending them a little bit so that people have less ground to cover when they're crossing, and so that the crosswalks aren't forcing people to cross at the light all the way across Broadway. Some of these crosswalks in certain areas, I can't like visualize it for you, but DOT presented to us. Essentially what they're doing is extending some of them so that you'll have a curb cut out and you can wait at the very edge. And then when the light turns, you can cross the street. And instead of having to make it all the way to the sidewalk, you're sort of greeted by like a safety buffer zone, if I'm explaining that correctly. That was the first presentation. It was just on all of the corners that DOT is going to be improving. The second presentation was informational. It was from a group called Ridgewood Rides. Ridgewood Rides is an advocacy group, and previously they were successful in a campaign where they got the Cypress Avenue alongside on the way to Highland Park. I don't know if anyone ever goes to Highland Park along Cypress Avenue, but there is now a protected two-way bike lane there. And that was a result of a campaign a while back, and Ridgewood Rides was very heavily involved in that campaign. And what they came to us is to present to us their next campaign, which they're hoping for a protected bike lane. They would like the DOT to do a study for a protected bike lane along Cooper Avenue and along Decatur Street, which would then connect to this protected bike lane to Highland Park, and would be able to connect our existing bike network to the bike network that would take folks to Highland Park. It was very early on in their presentation, and so we told them to come back later in the campaign and let us know what the community feedback they were getting looked like. There were a bunch of neighbors along Cooper Avenue who showed up to this meeting, and opinions were pretty split on whether folks thought it was a good idea or a bad idea to go along and study Cooper Avenue for that. And so we did not issue a recommendation as a committee. We told Ridgewood Rides would be happy to speak to them later on and see what their outreach is looking like. And then we can decide from there if we're thinking about making a recommendation to DOT. So that was June. The July meeting, we have one recommendation from that July meeting. We had a discussion as the committee. At the end of the June meeting, we had discuss as a committee potentially issuing a recommendation regarding a new policy where the NYPD is issuing criminal summonses for bicycle violations. Keep in mind that an automobile, a car, would not get the same criminal summons, would not have to go to criminal court for the same violations. They would just go to traffic court for the same violations. So our committee had a discussion on whether or not we wanted to issue a recommendation, issue a statement on what we felt was a better solution for that. We did not reach a conclusion on that. We could not really reach consensus, so we tabled that for the time being, and we will take it up in the next meeting. So if anybody has opinions on that, I would welcome them to come to our next meeting on the 29th of this month. And then lastly, the most important the recommendation that we have, the most important presentation that we received was from New York Restoration Project regarding a community garden on 36 Aberdeen Street next to Our Lady of Lourdes Nun Convent. The community garden is called the Infant Jesus Garden. It is currently owned by the New York Restoration Project. What happens is they bought about 50 or so community gardens. They purchased them from the city in 1999, I believe, or in 2000. The agreement was that they were not to develop them for residential or for any profit purposes. They had to stay as community gardens. The issue that's come up now is the garden is not being utilized at 36 Aberdeen Street. Occasionally the nuns were using it, but it's not really being stewarded. It's not really being managed in the way that a community garden would be. And so Restoration Project was hoping to get Councilmember Nurse's office to approve and for the board to recommend that New York City Parks Department Green Thumb program takes over. And that's the program that generally does the community gardens for the city. They have yet, as I mentioned, been unsuccessful at building a base of people to garden in this community garden. And they're hopeful that handing it over to the City Parks Department will help with that. Because the Green Thumb program, they have program managers. As the Parks Commissioner mentioned, the Parks Department has done an overhaul of their website. And so you can find Green Thumb gardens by searching on the Parks Department website. You may not be able to find New York Restoration Project Park the same way, just as easily. But one of our concerns was that with a transfer, if we were to support a transfer, we would be worried that somewhere down the line, Parks Department might try to convert this community garden into something else. And if you follow the news recently, there was a big controversy in Manhattan with a community garden, the Elizabeth Street Garden, where it was going to be turned into housing. And it was just a sort of a bad situation for everybody. Everybody was fighting and it just wasn't a good look. And so the committee discussed the possibility of having a deed restriction, which is what was already in place when these plots of land were purchased 25 years ago, and keeping that deed restriction in place so that if Parks Department were to take over the community garden, it would be restricted and it could only ever be a garden. And if they ever wanted to do something else with it in the future, they would have to start the process all over again and seek the community's feedback on that and support on that. And so our only recommendation, and we'll bring it up later again in recommendation, was that if we are going to support the transfer of this from New York Restoration Project to Parks, it has to stay a community garden, and it has to be restricted, and it can't be anything other than that. That was the conclusion of the meeting, and we're meeting again on the 29th. So we have questions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Questions?
Hello. Yes. Stephanie Anderson, CB4. Hi, Ben. I wanted to ask if yeah, I'll have to come back to it. I forgot.
The mic is coming. The mic is coming. Please be patient.
Is there other option besides, I'm sorry, I'm Courtney, Community Board 4. Is there any other option than giving it to the Parks Department?
That's a great question. So they came to us because that was who they wanted to hand it over to. We didn't really explore the option of it going to a third party. I think that since they purchased it from the city, I believe the EDC, the Economic Development Corporation, was involved in the original deal. And so I think one of the reasons why they wanted to give it back to the Parks Department was if the EDC was the one who took it over, they would probably want to do something else with it other than keep it as a community garden. So it seems that the way they want this to happen in order to stay as a community garden is to just hand it over to Parks Green Thumb.
Zachary Hendrickson, board member. This is less of a question, more of a comment, but thanks, Ben. I just wanted to clarify that, like, it's hello.
Oh, these microphones today.
All right. It's very rare I work for the Parks Department in my day job. It's very, very rare that anything that is like that Green Thumb into who started gardens back in the 80s 90s earlier were really happy actually when their gardens came under Green Thumb because it was sort of like protection. A lot of gardens didn't start that way. When we're talking about Elizabeth Street, that has a much longer history, but none of it was actually, Elizabeth was never managed or run by the Parks Department. So a lot of like what we're talking about, a lot of the risks, there's always risk when things are shifting hands, but in general, Parks is really committed, unlike other city agencies. In general, group currently stewarding it. So I think y'all should do that.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. I also will add, I was very adamant about this during the meeting. I grew up in Manhattan and I grew up near me with not a lot of park space. And there were community gardens that I utilized. My favorite one was the Creative Little Garden on 4th and between A and B, I believe. It's not really gardened in the way that you would think of it as a community garden, but it is an outdoor space with benches and quiet space and greenery. And for people who do not have enough park space, that is more than enough. That's super welcome. So I think, the better we can be doing with this plot of land, like the better it is. And there's a school across the street also, which is another thing I meant to add. There's a charter school across the street. And so if this opens the door for first graders to be able to go out to the park with their teachers on recess, it's like a no-brainer.
Stephanie Anderson, Community Board for the time being, can we get the word out about the garden and maybe the community take part in it?
Yeah.
Are they do anything?
I think that's a wonderful idea. I mean, we're all welcome to do that. And part of the reason that Mr. Dearborn, who was there from Restoration Project, was saying that he is hopeful for Green Thumb to be able to help is to get more participation in it because they do bulletins, they're available online. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's open now during the season. So I think that's
Okay,
April
so the
to
groups
November.
aren't locked.
I think during the summer season, I think it is open in the way that in like typical like community gardening hours, but it just seems that people have not signed up and
Yeah, they don't know. So it's best to get the word
so
out.
I think in the interim, yeah,
I'll do my best
for people to be able to get there and get involved there, in the interim until it gets handed over.
Great. So I'll speak to you later. Thank you so much.
Wait, anyone that hasn't spoken yet? None? The last.
I have a comment after Ms. Henley.
The last person, we're calling it quits. We're moving along.
I was just going to say the same thing this young lady said. I also think it would be cool to bring the school in on it, like maybe get the students to start gardening over there. Because I didn't even know that garden was there. So.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add that what we've noticed with some of the community gardens is that we have longtime leaders that eventually age out or no longer are able to steward the space. They try to pass it on to someone, but that person isn't really prepared for that level of commitment. I know a lot of people here have seen that happen on their blocks in this community. And so I could only imagine that this was once an active garden that's gone through exactly that. And the Parks Department has been the safest space for gardens. If it were to go to any other agency, it's at risk of redevelopment, it's at risk of being auctioned, and it would really pose something entirely different to this community. And I did a quick check, so I don't know when this became effective. I didn't dive that deep, but the Elizabeth Street Garden, since it was raised, the land is owned by HPD. So it's not technically under parks, which would make it susceptible to redevelopment, as any other site that's not under Parks Green Thumb would be susceptible if it was city owned. All right. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, everyone.
Permits and licenses.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me? Yes? No,
He's missed, yeah. He's come,
there it is.
you got it.
Way down. How about now?
Yeah.
Really? Teaching me something about performance. How's this? No? Better?
Perfect.
Perfect? Okay, I'll go with that. All right. All right. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to school, back to fall. The Permits and Licenses Committee met twice. We had quite a long list in August. I'm going to try and go through it at a fairly good pace. We had for new liquor licenses, we had the Newspaper Corner at 24 Irving, at Irving and Jefferson for a new wine, beer, and cider license. This is a family-owned restaurant operating for 3 months. Their hours were well within stipulations. We ultimately voted in favor of this new license. Number 2 was our Ridgewood, doing business as they say that at 615 Wilson, a new wine, beer, cider license on Wilson between Schaefer and Decatur. They've been operating for 6 months as a Thai restaurant, looking to increase sales with addition of a liquor license. Their hours were well within our stipulations. We voted in favor of this applicant. Number 3 was Mi Chulita Bella Restaurant at 1386 DeKalb, at DeKalb and Wilson. This is a new wine, beer, and cider license as well. It's a Mexican restaurant whose hours were also well within our stipulations, so we voted in favor to support that. Number 4 was the Chicken Spot and Corp, doing business as Flamin' Chicken and Pizza at 1595 Broadway between Halsey and Eldert. This is also a new wine, beer, and cider license. We voted in favor with amended documentation. I don't believe they followed up, but they were meant to. Their hours were well outside of our stipulations, so we were sort of counting on some amended documentation for them, which I don't think we received. Number 5 was Millennial Events Space 1, doing business as Mr. Bell's Cuisine and Bar at 1099 Broadway, at Dodworth. This is a new liquor, wine, beer, cider, currently operating as a catering establishment, looking to branch out as a soul food / seafood restaurant. Their hours were well within our stipulations as well, and we voted in favor to support this one. Next up was Aces Windsor at 423 Troutman between St. Nicholas and Wyckoff Avenue. This is a new liquor, wine, beer, cider. They have 4 locations throughout Brooklyn called Aces Pizza, so it's a small chain. Their hours were slightly outside of our stipulation, but they were in agreement to amend their hours to be in accordance with our stipulations. We voted in favor to support this with the amended documentation. And number 7 was Botana's number 1 at 133 Irving. This is a new liquor, wine, beer, cider at Hart Street. It's a Mexican restaurant looking to increase revenue. Hours, again, well within stipulations. We voted to support this establishment in favor of their application with amended documentation. So that was it for the new liquor licenses. We then had, this is August still, we had 3 expansion onto municipal property. So this is either sidewalk cafes or roadway cafes. We had 3 applicants. 1, the Glorious Deep, doing business as Pearl Social and Billy Club at 40 St. Nicholas Avenue at Star Street. 20 tables and 40 chairs for sidewalk seating. We voted to support this application. Next up was Klomkorn, doing business as, well, Klomkorn. It's a Thai restaurant at 181 Wyckoff and Himrod. It's a sidewalk cafe with 5 tables and 20 chairs. We voted in favor of this one as well. The next one is Summy LLC, doing business as The Nook at 45 Irving, for a roadway cafe and a sidewalk cafe with 10 tables and 27 chairs. And for the sidewalk and 4 tables and 23 chairs for roadway. Again, we voted in favor for this application. Next up, we had 2, method of operation changes. And this was, one was Carousel, 36 Wyckoff Avenue at Star Street. they were coming before us to extend their hours of alcohol sales. Their hours that they were asking for were well outside of our stipulations, going till 4 a.m. every night of the week, except for Sunday, which would have been midnight. We voted not in favor of this applicant. And then additionally, the second applicant was coming before us for the same reason. Cavan Hospitality, doing business as Juke Bar at 400 Troutman Street. They are a tavern who also wanted to extend their hours well outside our stipulated hours till 2 a.m. some nights and till 4 a.m. other nights. We voted not in favor of this applicant. Finally, we had a cannabis retail license application. This is Prime Time Cannabis LLC at 856 Knickerbocker at Schaefer. Adult use retail dispensary. There are no schools within 500 feet, no active churches within 200 feet, and no other cannabis dispensaries within 1,000 feet. They confirmed they would have proper security measures in place, and the lease has been signed for 5 years. Their intended sale of cannabis hours were 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. all days. We voted in favor of this applicant. I'm just going to move on to September. So this was much shorter. Thanks for bearing with me. The next one in September, we had Impossible Ocean LLC doing business as Danger at 232 Knickerbocker between Troutman and Star Bar Tavern. This was like a transitional operation. There's someone who's currently selling the business, and the new person who's buying it is kind of working beside them to learn about the business. However, their hours were well outside of our stipulations till 4 a.m. Every night of the week. When they heard our discussions about the stipulated hours, they asked to postpone and have their application be tabled until October's committee meeting. So we didn't actually make a recommendation about this one. And then we had a corporate change at 48 Cypress, which is doing business as Vacations at Star Street. This is a restaurant. They were trying to include an additional business partner on the liquor license. Their hours were well outside of our stipulations. However, at the time that they got their liquor license, they were in alignment with the stipulations at that time. So when there's a corporate change or sort of a class change or things like this, we might note some points about the hours or, the business in general, but we don't actually recommend changes at that time. So we noted that there were numerous 311 complaints, and this is where some of the discussion you heard earlier, some of the members of the committee. We see a lot of applicants who say that they have a wonderful, no complaints, a wonderful relationship with the 83rd precinct. And then when we actually look into it, we see that they have quite a lot of complaints. So this was one of those examples that prompted the discussion that you heard a couple of people allude to earlier today. So ultimately, everything else was in order and we voted in favor, but we did note that it was no longer in alignment with our current stipulations. And then finally, there was a class change, Leos Deli Groceria at 207 Knickerbocker between Troutman and Jefferson. This is a restaurant that started as a deli and transitioned into a restaurant. Their hours were slightly outside of our stipulations, but we voted in favor if they were in alignment with our stipulations. So that's it for the new applications. Then we had 3 SLA and 3 OCM applicants who either never got back to us with amended documentation or never, attended our meetings. And so we had a blanket vote to vote not in favor of these establishments, just simply because they were failing to communicate with the district office or submit the required documentation. So there were 3 SLA applicants, El Nuevo Caribe at 214 Central, Garibaldi de Noche at 1087 Broadway, and last but not least, Mr. Grocery and Beer at 164 Irving. So like I said, we voted not in favor of these applicants. And then same thing for OCM. There was a motion to blanket vote not in favor of 3 OCM establishments that didn't communicate with the district office or submit the required documentation. Sorry. It's really like you just move away a tiny bit and okay. DTCH1 at 1271 Broadway, Times Square Culture at 1271 Broadway. I have maybe the wrong address there. Myrtle 2 LLC at 402 Knickerbocker Avenue. Again, we voted not in favor of these. And then just one follow-up piece of business was an applicant that we had voted not in favor to support last year sometime was Pacha at 44 Wyckoff Avenue. They appealed to the OCM, and that hearing was taking place the same night as our committee meeting, so we don't actually know the outcome of that. Finally, I mean, I think we can more or less conclude there. I don't think there's anything else that we need to go over. Any questions? Yes.
Yep. The mic is coming.
Sorry, that's a lot of addresses information. I try to give the cross street so people have a visual on like where it's happening.
So you were saying that the dispensary, you guys voted against the dispensary and they appealed, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for Pacha at 44 Wyckoff.
Okay, I didn't know I had to say my name every single time. Okay, I'm Courtney and I'm on Community Board 4. So, yes, I wanted to ask about that. And then I know there was some people that you mentioned last time. I could barely hear what you were saying about them. Did you deny them, the people that were asking for an amended or something? You asked them for something and they didn't supply it?
Yeah, there were two businesses that came before us to ask for, see if I can turn around and face you. There were two businesses that came before us and asked to extend their hours of alcohol sales. We voted not in favor to support those two applicants. For the OCM applicant, that the one that you're referring to, we haven't heard back yet, but yes, they did appeal our voting not in favor of them. That was Pacha at 44 Wyckoff, I think. And the other cannabis establishment we voted in favor of.
Great job, Steve.
Yo, I knew somebody was going to say something.
Anything else? Anything else?
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, hi, my name is Maria and I'm a member of the community. Can you hear me? My name is Maria and I'm a member of the community. Your list, you went over on-premise licenses. I was wondering if licenses for off-premise take place on a different night because you didn't mention any, or maybe there's just not many people applying for that right now.
I don't think we do.
So the board doesn't review off-premise, only on-premise.
Only on-premise, okay. So if I were interested in getting licensed for an off-premise, I would need to have
an example of
approval from-
off-premise would be like a bodega, corner store. It could be anyone who's taking it to consume off of the location.
Yeah, so like a liquor store or a wine store. Mhm.
So you would essentially go through the SLA's process. All of the information should be available on their website. If you have questions or need additional guidance, you can always contact the board's office during business hours.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Great job. Okay, that's it for committee reports. We have our chairperson's report. Mr. Camacho.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you. Before I start on my report, I want to let everyone know that one of our board members, the chair of Housing and Land Use, Ann Guiney's father passed away. So just in case, Ann Guiney's father passed away, one of the board members. She's the chair of Housing and Land Use. Our prayers go out to her. I don't know, as Reverend James, maybe you can do a moment of silence and a prayer for her and wishes, because I know her mother too is in that she hasn't been here for a while because she's been taking care of them in Boston. And he just passed away, so I just wanted to share that fast.
Reverend James Stewart, Treasurer of CB4. As we gather, let us just hold a moment of silence as we think about the life of Ann Guiney's father. Thank you. Let us pray. Almighty God, we come with heavy hearts thinking about our colleague and friend Anne as she goes through this time of bereavement with her family and the loss of her father. Dear God, we pray for comfort, peace, and strength upon her and the rest of her family. We thank you for the life and the witness that our father brought in her family and others. And we pray that in the days and weeks ahead, that you would give them everything that they will need. We pray that you would unite the family. You would meet every need that they may have. We pray for her continued strength and peace as she goes through this season. We're thankful for this board and the work that she does within our midst. And we pray that you will continue to bless her as she goes through this time in which we all have to at some moment in our lives. So we look to you for comfort and strength. And we pray this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, thank you. I'm sorry, whatever dimension you guys are from, I just wanted, because some people are religious, some people aren't. So I want to thank you guys for taking the time. And I know she's over there on her own, and I wish we can be there, but we wished her and we sent her our regards and prayers. As of me, I'm going to also let board members know that as you heard our parliamentary tell us that we must get on the mic because we're on Zoom and we're being recorded. We have to record. There were instances where now I know Borough Hall has an investigation unit. We found out about it that someone, when we did our committee meeting, one of the constituents that was applying for the license must have been upset. We thought they didn't get, Celeste will fill you in on the crosswords and what occurred. Or they didn't get their license, a new venue that's supposed to have been open. So they indicated that they wanted to get recordings of the committee reports on the papers, and reports on the full board. And some of those reports, when you make a recommendation, you say, I make a recommendation, but legally, they want to know who made a recommendation. It ain't I. They want to know the person that made that recommendation. So you have to say, Chairperson Camacho makes a recommendation. Who seconds it? The next person has to say their name. All in favor, aye, and opposed, and abstention. Motion carried. That's Robert Rules of Order. You must. Because when they subpoena us to take us to court and they challenge, it's not going to be good. So we have to. I know sometimes we get lazy and we don't want to. We have to do what we have to do to make sure. Also, when you're in, that's why I brought all our committee chairs in the front. We have the establishments there on committee meetings or any person that's coming to do a presentation. Address the chair. Address the chair, meaning if Celeste is the chair and there's a licensed person that's talking, we shouldn't be talking with him. It's not personal. Don't make it personal. Or looking at them and going, Madam Chair, we have to address the chair, and then she then acknowledge and allow the next person to speak. We must. And I'm doing this, and we have to do this because, we got board members that have been doing this a long time, and we're going to be turned out. And before you know it, you're going to be pulled. It's really funny that you're volunteers, but when you get sued and put into court, I'm going to see how much a volunteer is really worth. I'm serious. And that I know for a fact, other board members are suing other board members. Yes. Also, if you're on a committee and you're a chair and you have anyone, because we're all part of organizations. Everybody here is part of an organization. So now they got friends of this guy, friends of that one, bikes of this one, dogs of this one. And I'm affiliated with that. I have to let them know. Or let Celeste know to speak to the chair, because the chair, it's a conflict to be voting on something that he's part of. You have to be careful. Have to be careful. Also, sometimes you bump into your friend and you say, I want to come on the committee. I have a presentation to make. Give the number, speak to her. Because then they come in and they say, Joe Smo told me I can go to you. Oh, he made a deal with me. That's why we got our fearless mayor being investigated now because of all what's going on. We have to be very careful. I let all of y'all guys know. Very, very careful. And it's recorded, so you can't say I told you, I didn't tell you. There's no excuse for not knowing. Correct? Correct. Be careful. Be very careful. We know we want to help. I myself put myself in situations like that. When people come to me and you want to be helpful, but at the end of the day, when things don't work out right for them, guess who gets it? So you have to be very careful. And we're all here for one thing only, to serve Bushwick. From one end to another, to another, to another. We're not here for our personal agendas. Nobody has to like nobody in here, but we got to work together, regardless of who we are. I have 2 years. I'm going to make sure that Bushwick be, because now I'm going to be on the side of that table. I know how to talk, and I know how to rumble and make sure that policies and procedures are carried on. Because in my bag, I carried this. I carried Robert Rules of Order. I carried a copy of the city charter and a copy of a CB4's bylaw. So if I come here and you're not doing the right thing, I'm going to highlight it. Because it ain't about you. It's not about you. It's about us. So please know I don't have a gun. I don't carry guns. I'm not 15 years old anymore. That's different. That's why the precinct left. So I want to thank you. I want to make sure, and I'm going to go on with my report real quick. Real quick. I got parliamentary procedures, so I know real quick. Monday, June 23rd, CB4 EPT. Friday, February 27th, from 12:03 to 8:03 precinct block party, back to school event. Was wonderful. We met July 3rd in El Puente. They had from 1 to 2. We had a meeting over there. On July 7th, DYCD at 422 Central. DYCD is Department of Youth and Education. NBA had a meeting there, which is a neighborhood advisory board. Everyone should get online or go online and get on the neighborhood advisory board, because DYCD gives grants to CBOs, and we want to know where the money goes. 422 Central does get through DYCD money, so we want to make sure that they utilize it. And I went to 422 Central, and it was summer. It was 95 degrees. It was July 7th. It was one of the hottest times. They had no AC, and our kids were inside. And one of the deputy commissioners went in there, and we had a meeting in there. And she says, who's in charge of this program? There's no AC. The Coalition Hispanic Society was, I called, but they don't own the building. Our new Wavecrest owns the building, which is Hope Gardens. So I called them and I told them, you're not gonna get any more rent from the coalition. I'm not part of that coalition, but they have our kids there. God forbid one of those kids get a heat stroke. What are you gonna tell the parents when they come here to enjoy and there's no AC? Thank you, some of the elected officials that are here. I called them up. I called Wavecrest. Celeste sent an email to up top. 3 days later, they were calling me that they need a coat because now it's cold in there. I said, well, I can't help you with a coat. You got the AC. They did the whole AC in the place and they fixed it for the kids. So that's what it's all about. It's about the kids and not about us to make sure they get their service. On Tuesday, July 8th at 3 p.m., CB4 Prep, we had a meeting with the council on regards to housing in Bushwick. July 9th, District Service Cabinet. All the city agency come. Thank God they always come and they guide us. Friday, July 11th, DOT on Zoom. Bushwick Community Partners had their book bag giveaway. I went at 4 o'clock, Riseboro. We had a meeting with the CEO. As you know, Riseboro is going through a lot of problems with funding. Federal government, a lot of jobs are being lost and not funding ours. And all our buildings in Riseboro all need repairs and fix. No services and they're cutting. So we're getting a lot of calls from our seniors and from some of these buildings because what happens is back then there was that X amount of money that people used to make. But now everything is so high, you can't raise the seniors' rent because now you're locked. So where are they going to get the money to fix? If everything is going up and the building is unsubsidized, that's why I tell you, when you can make affordable housing, it has to be mixed use housing for people that can make the money to oversee the people that can't, to balance the bills in the building to maintain. Because if you can't, then you'll have another night shift. And that's what's going on. So we got to make sure that we was in the health department. We got a new health department, 335. Utilize that health department. Please, please, please. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. And guess what they're going to do? Knock it down, sell it to these developers, and they're going to use it for not our housing, for their housing. So that we got to make sure. I was in a CEC meeting. The CECs are wonderful. I go with them all the time. We had a meeting again, Family Day on Irving Square Park. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It was wonderful. Whoever did it together on July 21st, CB4 Open Street event. We had a meeting with Pat from Troutman. He's no longer do the open street. He's trying to look for Riseboro to do the open streets because he had a hard time. I know me and Celeste were supposed to meet with someone from that location that he was having issue with because he had the permit. They brung DJs out. They stood there late at night. He got blamed for it. So he wanted to make sure he wasn't part of that. So I know that we were supposed to meet with them and they canceled out on us. So I guess we're going to have to go back. So we don't know if they're going to do it anymore at all. No one, Riseboro said that 360, they couldn't get no more money. So there ain't no more money for that project, and they're not doing that project. On Saturday, July 20, from 11 to 7, I went to the Jefferson Block Associate to the meeting. At Monday, the 28th, 6 p.m., the CB4 EPTS Parks and Recreation. On the 30th, 10 o'clock at 374 Stockholm, Wyckoff Heights. A press release, we met with our elected officials and the new CEO from Wyckoff. They were telling me that some of the cuts that they're doing, that they want to make a lot of changes. So as you know, Wyckoff is going through another transition change. And very important, that same day we met on at between 6:30 and 7, myself, Celeste, and all the elected officials in regards to fires. Been a lot of fires in Bushwick, a lot of fires. So what they're trying to do, there are 7 zip codes that they want to, you have to register. They're gonna put smoke alarms and smoke. We really, really need this. It's free. Scan the barcode, make the date, and they'll put your smoke alarm, your carbon monoxide. They'll put it in every room, in every basement. Free. Free. Take advantage of it. Let's not wait. Wintertime is coming. You're in your house, you put your heat on, electrical outlet, a shortage, or now they're bringing the e-bikes. You see the e-bikes outside, right? But where's the battery? In the house. And they're charging. A lot of these houses are old. They got the 120 line. So it gets hot and it burns the cable and you're sleeping and the battery's on fire. That's why whenever you see anybody, we're bringing a bike into that, it ain't because we don't want them to make money, because I'm an immigrant. You want to be safe because you want to live somewhere when you go back home. Because if your house is burned, I don't care what you got. You're gonna have to sleep in a bike with no battery, and you got no home. So the houses are burning in Bushwick, 3 or 4 houses with those batteries, and people are dying. So please, there's gonna be a campaign out soon. I know they're trying to form it with our elected officials and the chief of police. They also have a safety booklet where they're gonna put each one of them. And they also gave us a breakdown. I'm gonna tell you real quick, a breakdown that's shocking. What's at risk in the residential fires? Structure, 1,188 people. In New York City, 231. In the last 5 years, civilian residence fires injured between 1,000 people, 8.8%. 11.9% of the resident structures fire reaches all hands or greater. This is the response in FDAY. Then from the houses that were made from 1939 to 1969, we have 19%. We have 80% from 1939, 80%. Before 1939 and after 1967, 19%. And from 1939 to 1967, we had buildings of 1%. And then all residential buildings, multiple family walk-ups, we have 47%. 1 and 2 family homes, we have 39%. Residential and commercials, we have 13. And multi-family elevators, we have 1%. So, there's been a lot of fires in Bushwick in our neighborhood. So there's a statistic, if you go online, it tells you. So we really need to make sure we take care of our homes, and all you need is a battery, and we'll be okay. Also, I just wanted to share something with you. On July 30th, I went to the Jones, New York City Aging on Knoll Street and Forest. They had a competition for our seniors. We didn't win, but it was a talent with our seniors, and you should have seen them seniors dancing. It was a talent show. I was, guess what? I was a judge. I couldn't believe I was a judge. And our councilwoman, Jennifer Gutierrez, and an officer from the 9-0. And we voted on some people, then they went to the finals. But we didn't make it. But our seniors were good. You should have seen them dancing, playing music, doing tricks, and saying jokes. Jokes were all right, but I also, the Q team, I went to the meeting on the Q team. I have plenty here. I'm just gonna say a few, and everything else is just informational. I went to a lot of block parties all over. I've been all over. A budget consultation started. I know Celeste was gonna ring my ear. We started September 15th from 9 to 5. On there was DOB, SBS, ACS, and DIFTA. And we got, all the other ones are coming soon. So I think that's part of my report. I had more, but yeah, I also and our public safety chair went to Nydia Velasquez Day of Action. As you know, they're closing down some of these social security offices. And when you go there, you're gonna wait forever. Not only that, when you get on the phone and our seniors that are bedridden, they actually have to go. Because our fearless president thinks that our seniors are dead just because they're bedridden. So now they got to go to Social Security. You got to wheel the whole bed to let them know that they're here in order to register for them to get their money. September 30th is the last day. They're not distributing any more Social Security checks or disability checks. Everything's going to be deposited. You will not get no check as of the 30th. For all over. That's it. Our fearless man got rid of that. No more checks. You're either going to get a debit card or you're going to have to go downtown and wait online in one of those offices, wait on the phone forever. And you got to bring ID to make sure it's you, because they think that somebody's collecting your money and you're dead. And depending on what office you go to, you have to have an appointment. So it's real. That's why I tell you, be careful what you wish for, because you wanted somebody and you got them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. Any questions?
I have questions. Member Hicks.
Go ahead, Ms. Hicks.
Dr. Hicks here, a committee member. I'm glad that Hochul and others agreed to virtual because it helps me as a person who's not able to make physical meetings. However, when we take a vote, unless we have a census, you can't tell what the people in Zoom voted because we rushed to a vote. All in favor, aye. How many ayes? And if they're really looking closely at what we do, we have to be accountable, and maybe we need to reflect the numbers of ayes and nays so that people can challenge that. And it's written. But I don't feel like often people like not even vote. You may hear aye, but I might not say anything at all. So I think maybe we can have to get receiving training in the protocol of Robert's rules. Maybe those on Zoom can just hold up their hands and you can see the vote. And therefore, it really becomes more truthful to see the vote rather than assume I did vote. What do you think about that?
Only time that would occur if you want to have a single. When it's a single vote and someone makes a recommendation that they want to make a single vote, that they want each one to vote separately, that's when it's a roll call, that's when. But when someone says aye first and the second one says the name seconded, then they say, who abstained? We look and you say, I, Mrs. Hick, abstained. Okay, we jot you down that you abstained. And then that's how we carry it. So if no one abstains and we don't hear it, then that means nobody abstained. Everybody said aye. And you're counted on the sheet, so you're counted as it. But if you want a person to be a person, each one separately, you have to say, I recommend that each one of these, and someone has to second it. If no one seconded, it doesn't move.
Like I said, we need training in Robert's rules, and maybe we'll have a workshop for those who are new and those who are familiar to help with that process.
So board members are welcome to participate in a variety of trainings offered by the Borough President's Office and the Civic Engagement Commission. I believe they both have offered parliamentary procedure. Those are also available to view virtually online. Ms. Hicks, I'm happy to forward the information if it's helpful.
Thank you for all of us.
All right. Yep, we have another question.
And that's spelling public safety. I just want to emphasize what Mr. Camacho said about fires. From June to September 16th, we've had 6 fires in this community. 3 of them, there were injuries to civilians, and 1 of them, there were 23 adults and 9 children who were displaced. So you have to pay attention and you need to get those alarms.
Thank you, Ms. Spellin. Come up to the mic, please, if you, hang on, come up, just come up, yeah, please, thank you.
And before I even, if here, all board members, we bring copies. So any recommendation, we also send it on your phone and your email. So I don't think that we should be coming here. If you know what's on the agenda and you know what orders are going to be on this agenda, we shouldn't be talking about what's on here when you should know it already and have the questions ready. So recommendations are on here. You should need to ask the questions quick while you're here when it's on and not wait when you know it's on here. You get a copy of this. It's also on your phone, we send it, correct? And an email. So you should be reading, oh, we know you don't read your committee mail. You know why we know? Because we track it. So
Okay.
I know you're not doing your job, but you come here and you want us to answer 520 questions when 1, you're a board member, 2, you get a copy of this, and 3, you get it in your email.
Hi, it's Courtney, Community Board 4. I wondered, is there anything we can do in terms of making sure that our elderly know about this new Social Security? I know a lot of the people that maybe English is their second language may not know what's going on.
Take the information from this meeting and tell your neighbors, tell your friends, send the email blasts. That's what we can all do.
Okay.
Anyone else? The chairperson's report? I see no hands. I see no one on Zoom. All right. Thank you, Mr. Camacho. We will now move on. I will actually introduction of elected officials and other representatives. Folks that are here in person, please line up, name and contact information only. Folks that are on Zoom, please raise your hands. Elected officials and representatives.
Hi, everyone. Lacey Tauber, Brooklyn Borough President's Office, 718-802-3894.
That's great. All right? You get it as the number.
Hi, everyone.
Anyone on Zoom and anyone here? The borough president is there, so if you need any classes, the number is right there. She'll send it to you, she'll give it to you. Anyone that needs anything, thank you. Great job, Camacho.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Oh. I hope to see all new members and anyone who wants a crash course in all of these procedures at the swearing in tomorrow night at Borough Hall. You know, 2 late nights in a row is a lot, but we're going to do a very good overview of how this stuff works. We're going to do like a little mock meeting. It's going to be really fun. So you're supposed to be there. So I hope to see you all there.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Kimberly Vega from Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez's office. Our number 718-963-3141.
Welcome back. I'm Fran from Councilmember Sandy Nurse's office. Our number is the same, 718-642-8664, 56 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Good evening. Good evening. Jonathan Bancourt here representing Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez. Phone number 718-599-3658. Thank you.
Hello, glad to be back. Hope the summer was great. David Delosier with the New York City Commission on Human Rights. You can just call 311 and ask for human rights if you're ever facing discrimination, or you can call 212-416-0197.
Good evening, everyone. Maria Valdez from the Office of Senator Julia Salazar. Phone number 718-573-1726. Address is 212 Evergreen Avenue. Thank you.
All right, Jonathan on Zoom.
Good evening, everyone. Jonathan Pomboza from District Attorney Eric Gonzalez's office. Our offices are located at 350 J Street in downtown Brooklyn, and my number is 250-2817. Thank you.
Any other agency, community-based organizations, or business reps? This is your time. Name and contact information only. Rashid on Zoom, and then come up. Everyone in person can come up.
Okay, how you doing? This is Rashid Little John, founder and executive director of the Green Campaign, GCamp. Phone number is 929-598-9895.
Pablo Rivera, Bushwick Sports and Recreation. His phone number is 347-388-8271. And our office number is 718-628-5486.
All right, I don't see folks come up. And on Zoom, Anton, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the new year. This is Anton Nimblet from Volunteers of America Bushwick Family Residence. We're a shelter located at 1675 Broadway. We're a family shelter. The number is 718-574-2701.
My name is Rizzo Torres. I represent the Good Collective. We're a nonprofit, Bushwick School of the Arts, providing free high-quality education for kiddos, summer camps, after-school program, all that jazz. Number is 347-294-5466. And we got open enrollment.
Thank you. All right, last call. Oh, yep. Yeah, all right.
Now I got to.
All right, we're gonna.
Yeah. Sorry. Real quick. Okay. My name is Julio Madero, and I'm an outreach and a fundraiser director of Community Dialogue NYC. You can contact us at 718-455-6010, extension 6116. And I would like to announce that our organization.
Announcements are later. Name and contact only. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we're almost there. So the district manager's report, I'm going to distill all of my meetings into several important ones that I think are notable this evening. Good evening. Welcome back from the summer recess. Happy belated Labor Day and back to school. While the board was on recess, the district office prepared for the meeting year ahead. I had the opportunity to welcome 15 new public members. So that means volunteers that aren't appointed to the board, but they are volunteering to serve on a committee. Welcome. We created a new committee documents platform and we asked for patience while it still comes together. You're going to be able to see all committee meeting materials, reports, recommendations from 2020 up till the present. So we're glad to have that available both to the board and to the public. We also were able to propose changes to the public hearing agenda and the newsletters. Those that are signed up to receive the newsletters, you may have noticed something a little bit different. The one at the beginning of the month is now the board's newsletter, and the second one that goes out is the public hearing and regular meeting, which is this meeting. We want to encourage folks to be prepared for this meeting, show up to testify, make the most of our time together. And I also had a chance to present operational and administrative improvements, suggestions really to the executive board earlier this month. And as Mr. Camacho mentioned earlier, board member term limits will take effect spring 2027. We will be losing almost half of the board members that have been serving for more than 8 years. I continue to engage with current board leadership, including the newly elected first vice chairperson, Christian Celeste Tate, to prepare the board for the transition. And then I have an overview of meetings. I'm going to just call out a few. On June 25th, I spoke with Randall Toure from Riseboro. They are exploring bringing back, for those that remember, the Brooklyn Unidos meetings and a potential civic education collaboration with them. And I also spoke with Dora Blount, who is a senior designer at the Department for Design and Construction. She's a part of the 2025 Architectural Institute of America Civic Leadership Program. They had a program, Reimagining Public Engagement with NYC Community Boards. I originally was just asked for some information, but after our conversation, they actually invited me to participate in the workshop, which was held at the AIA in Manhattan. It was very informative. There were other stakeholders talking about how to engage with community boards. And skipping ahead, there was also, Mr. Camacho spoke about the meeting with the Department of Health. He also mentioned the meeting for Troutman Open Streets. We received more than several complaints, both from folks that live in the area, other businesses. There was one business in particular that was taking advantage of the open street. We have attempted to schedule meetings with them. They have canceled the meeting the day of several times. We will send them an email, wish them well, and hope that it doesn't continue. Otherwise, the agencies that we met with, thank you to Councilmember Gutierrez's team, they will not hesitate to escalate to a violation if they continue to ignore the rules. And just to note and emphasize that right now, the future of that open street is up in the air. We don't know who will take that on. Mr. Camacho mentioned that there was an inquiry from the Borough President's office, in addition to the Senator's office, Senator Salazar, as well as the Office of Nightlife, about Lousy Lover, a business located at 970 Flushing. They had previously come to the board last August, and we thought they did not receive their license, which was why we were all of a sudden getting so many inquiries. However, this business owner, when we spoke later, said that she basically felt bad about how the board voted, right? Not in favor of her application, and she wanted to see what she could do to be proactive. Unfortunately, that led to a very uncomfortable phone call with the Deputy General Counsel from the Borough President's office, where I thought a check-in turned into an investigation to collect facts. And I was very uncomfortable, and I referred the situation to Mr. Camacho. And let's see. There were orientation sessions for all of the public members. And we also had a meet and greet with the new president and CEO of Wyckoff Heights Medical Center. This was a long time coming. Folks may recall that that transition happened in January of this year. They canceled a couple of meetings where we were supposed to connect with them, but finally over the summer, we had a conversation. It is somewhat concerning as a hospital that serves folks that rely generally on public funds. They are in need of funding. Funds are limited and they have to find ways to save and still be able to serve this community. However, they had a series of leaders at that meeting that were there to answer our questions, and we were joined by representatives from Queens CB5 as well. And I wanted to just reference this. Folks have been asking about Green Central Knoll for a while. Sometimes it dies down, sometimes it comes back up. A New York Post reporter did a follow-up article which generated a lot of media attention for Green Central Knoll, which also resulted in an article that was written that we got to the Parks Commissioner today. So fingers crossed to see something good come from that. And I want to just acknowledge that I do have standing check-ins with some of our elected officials, like Assemblymember Davila. Once a month, we talk about issues and concerns in the community and touch base and try to keep in communication. There was also in August a meeting with the Emergent City documentary team. There's going to be, save the date, on November 16th at 2 p.m. A screening of Emergent City. Was a documentary about a planning process in Sunset Park, Industry City. More information will be available on that soon. And almost there. And last but not least, yesterday there was a meeting of the Future Community Boards Working Group, which includes district managers citywide. This was specific to the city law department, and it was about board member removal. So folks may recall that the district office committee reviews attendance, and primarily when board members are unable to attend, they may make a recommendation for removal. Some boards were receiving inconsistent feedback about how board members may be removed. Some boards are also removing board members without following the charter. And so we had a long discussion where the law department advised that we have to follow the charter. The boards have to follow the charter. We are thankfully following the charter. CB4 is in compliance. So I want to say thank you all, because that was a stressful meeting for me, but I was not stressed about CB4. So that concludes my report. Yeah, any question, going once, going twice? I know we're at the end. I don't see anything. I don't hear anything. So we will move on to recommendations. And I believe we just permits and yeah. Provided, yeah, and parts.
Hello again, Ben Tucker, EPTS Chair. We had one recommendation in Parks. The recommendation is to support the transfer of the Infant Jesus Garden to the New York City Parks Department's Green Thumb, with the caveat that the deed restriction remains, preserving the property for open space and passive recreation and community garden. After the transfer, the property will be prevented from being developed for other purpose. That was our motion. Oh, sorry, one other thing. Any proposed future changes should require community input. So Parks would have to come to us if they want to do any changes to it.
Yes, Raul Rubio, Community Board 4. I make a motion that we support the transfer of the Our Lady of Lourdes Garden to the Parks Department for their Green Thumb programs with the stipulations that it not be it's taken off of the list of property that can be moved, and it stays in the on the list of Green Thumb Gardens.
Felix Cevallos, second it. All in favor? Any opposed? Say your name. I hear none. Any abstentions? I hear no names. Both have to say their name. I don't see anyone on Zoom either. All in favor, motion carries. All right, permits and licenses. Is that our timer to go? Go ahead, Christine.
How do we want to do this? You don't want me to read everything again, do you?
No.
You sure? Because I got it right here.
Someone will want to make a recommendation to blanket vote.
Ben Tucker made a motion for a blanket vote. James Stewart seconds the blanket vote motion. All in favor?
All in
for the
favor.
blanket vote. Any opposed?
Any opposed? Any abstention? Please, on Zoom. So move.
For the blanket. Now for the.
Now someone has to make the recommendation, the motion for the recommendation. Who?
Joanna Fuentes, staying board member, makes a recommendation.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Stephanie Anderson, CB4, second.
Yeah. So now all in favor. Any opposed? This is for the committee's recommendations for SLA permits and licenses and OCM. I have one abstention. Thank you, Ms. Davis. I have two abstained. Alvina Davis and Raul Rubio. Anyone else?
Anyone on Zoom?
This is for those abstained. I hear no other names. Any opposed? Say a name. I hear no names. This motion carries. Thank you, everyone. That's it. We got through recommendations. And old business, going once, going twice. I hear none. New business, going once, going twice.
I have a new business I would like to introduce. The executive board, just go by executive board name and your title and the chair of committees, so everyone can see who it is. Who can I speak to? Housing and Land Use, she's not here. Is Ann Guiney, or you can call it Celeste, and we're gonna go with executive board.
Christian Celeste Tate, first vice chair.
Milagros Sandoval, second vice chair.
Ben Tucker, EPTS committee chair.
Christine Malden, permits and licenses chair.
James Stewart, treasurer.
I need it.
Virgie Jones, youth and education chair.
She used to be a school teacher, so you don't want her. Oh, assistant principal. I'm sorry, I take it back. In Bushwick.
Yeah. Annette Spellin, civic, public safety, health, and religious chair.
Stephanie Anderson, arts, culture, and technology chairperson.
Joanna Bennett, parliamentarian.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is my executive board. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. No other new business, going once, going twice. Announcements, a minute and a half. You will be timed. Wait, Joanna Bennett has something.
That announcement be held to 1 minute.
Is there a second? Joanna Bennett, second by James Stewart. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Ooh, someone's really abstaining?
Objection.
Okay.
Objection.
So move. 1 minute. Go ahead, Fran.
Okay, please read the investments made by Councilmember Sandy Nurse for Community Board 4, but I would like to highlight that thanks to the efforts of Community Board 4, we are getting 3 NYPD cameras coming to Bushwick at the locations you have requested. If you want to know what they are, call me tomorrow because I only have a minute. Participatory budget is starting. There's a flyer right there. Please submit ideas. East New York kicked Bushwick's butt. We need to get more projects from Bushwick on our list. And finally, Friday is our last movie night. Hope you can come and bring a blanket, bring the kids. Good night.
No. Done? I have a heart condition, okay? Anyway, Pablo Rivera from Chairman of Bushwick Sports and Recreation. Had a tough season, but we managed to serve 240 kids, thanks to some of the members here that are also coaches. I want to thank Robert. I want to thank Assemblywoman Davila, Councilwoman Gutierrez, everybody that was there. At our event, right? Save the parks for the children. Central No. The article came out of there. I couldn't think enough. Lieutenant Inspector Pagolio, him himself went there in the morning to inspect the field and take dogs out of there. So I just want to thank everybody, and we having free clinics every Saturday from 10 to 1 at Thomas Boylan, which is Furman between Bushwick and Broadway, right? And Sundays, we have a girls softball training from 1 to 6 at Hope.
Thank you. I'm gonna bring a gorilla next time. We could pull the people out. You ever saw the Gong Show?
Good evening. My name is Juanita James. I'm with the Brooklyn Public Library, Washington Irving. So 3 points. Welcome back. Back to school. We have online tutoring with the free service with Brain Fuse. You just need to use your library card. We have indoor after school programs. We have our calendar in the back. We also have teen internships. Some are paid, some are internships. Calendar in the back. And we also, the Brooklyn Public Library is official partner with the National Voting Registration, which is September 16th. Thank you and good night.
Yeah, that was fun. See, it could be done.
All right, Kim Vega from Councilmember Gutierrez's office. So we just want to thank Mr. Camacho for joining us at our back to school giveaways. We were able to distribute over 350 bags in Bushwick, including to PS 123. We have a few task force events coming up. We have an e-waste and composting event on 927 in Ridgewood at the intersection of Cypress Ave and Putnam from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. There will be a street tree care event on October 19th on 121 Star Street at 10 a.m. On November 15th, we will have another e-waste and textiles collection at Maria Hernandez from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we will be hosting mobile office hours on October 4th at Riseboro's Maria Hernandez Park Farmers Market from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we have our clinics, flyers over there.
Hello again, I'm Lacey from the Brooklyn Borough President's Office. We put out a comprehensive plan for Brooklyn. I don't have time to tell you about it right now because it's 375 pages long. But I'm hoping that we can come to the Housing and Land Use Committee in the next month or two and present to you. I can't wait for you to see it. It's a great tool for community boards. Our Brooklyn Pin design competition is still going. So if you're an artist or you know an artist that wants to enter, they have until the end of the month. And again, I will see all the newly appointed and reappointed members tomorrow at Borough Hall, 5:30 reception, 6:30 swearing and ceremony. Thanks.
Hello, Joe from Friends of Irving Square Park here. I have one announcement. Show up to the park on Saturday. We have our first annual Community Art Day. We have over 100 volunteers showing up. We are painting more than 15 banners that'll be around the park. Community Board 4 has a few members that'll be joining us. So please, it's open to the public. Come and paint in the park. I will also give you a free half of a sandwich.
Good evening, everyone. I remember the good old days when we had 2 minutes, but now we have 1 minute, so let me make it count. I want to start off by saying Happy Hispanic Heritage Month. You know, at a time when the Supreme Court is ruling that they can pick us up by speaking Spanish, our occupation, or our skin color, is very important that we celebrate our heritage. But I just want to say, over the summer, as we all know, they passed this big, beautiful bill that's very big, but it's not beautiful. Let me give you some highlights, if you want to call them highlights. It's going to cut $13.5 billion of our healthcare system here in New York alone. We're going to lose $2 billion a year in SNAP benefits in New York. Over 1 million people can lose their benefits. And it's rolling back clean energy tax credits. We've already seen hundreds of thousands of jobs lost because of these rolling back of the tax credits, and over $1 trillion in tax cuts to the 1%. So they're giving us the crumbs and they're taking the loaf. It slashes, Medicaid spending by $880 billion across the nation. New Yorkers, 1.5 million New Yorkers will lose their benefits. Just want to say thank you all and glad to be back. Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Jonathan, here from Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez's office. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nancy. I'm a CB4 member and also a proud parent in Bushwick. I'm part of a parent group called Bushridge Babies Community, and we do a quarterly kids clothing swap. The next one we have is actually going to be at Irving Square Park on Saturday, September 20th. Lots of different items up for grabs. You don't have to bring anything to take items. If you have grandkids, kids, whatever, lots of great pre and postpartum supplies as well. So I'll be there. Come say hi. We're also doing a mural. We're translating mom in many different languages. Yes.
Hey everybody, I don't have a baby, but I do have an announcement. Tomorrow, September 18th at 6 p.m., North Brooklyn DSA is hosting our monthly branch meeting. Fortunately, it's not in Bushwick. We got to spread the love around sometimes. It's going to be in Greenpoint at St. John's Lutheran Church, 155 Milton Street. But we're talking about stuff relevant to all of North Brooklyn. Would love to see you there. I also just want to say a thank you to the folks who made it out to our big potluck in the park a few weeks back. I know many folks. We tried to talk to as many people as we could over the break. But gonna keep inviting y'all to stuff. Hope to keep bringing people together and would love to see you there. All right, bye everybody. Oh my gosh, who am I? My name is Zach Hendrickson. I'm a community board 4 member. Yeah, it don't matter. We got a minute.
Good evening, everyone. Maria Valdez from the Office of Senator Julia Salazar. A few highlights. Senator Salazar went to Nassau County Jail, where ICE has held more than 1,400 people. The jail unlawfully attempted to deny her access, but she refused to back down. She inspected the conditions of the jail and spoke those being detained and called for the passage of dignity, not detention, and New York for all and access to representation. She also gave the backpacks throughout the district. Also, we have tenant support unit at our office every first Tuesday of the month from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at our office 212 Evergreen Avenue. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dwayne Frankson. I wear a lot of hats, but tonight I'm here as part of the New York State Bar Association Committee on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I'm inviting you to an event we're hosting. We're co-hosting at 60 Center Street in New York City, Manhattan, on September 19th, 2025, from 12:30 to 2:15. The other co-host, that's actually the New York New York County Supreme Court building. The other co-hosts are the Gender Fairness Committee for the New York State Supreme Court, the civil term, New York County Equal Justice, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, the Cultural Diversity Subcommittee, and the New York County Clerk's Office. It is officially titled the Karen, and that's CAREN, Arnowitz Unity and Diversity event. All right, we'll have a lot of conversations about the current state of DEI in the country. It's a great networking opportunity, so I really do encourage you to show up and enjoy that. Also, happy Hispanic Heritage Month. It's also today is Constitution Day. Yesterday it was mentioned it was National Voter Registration Day. and it's voter registration action week. Thank you.
I'll be quick. My name is Julio Madero from Community Dialogue NYC. We want to announce that our organization is proud to offer the Bushwick Youth Mental Health Ambassadors, teen mental health first aid training for youth in grades 9 through 12 and ages 14 to 18. This program empowers teens to recognize, understand, and respond to signs of mental health and substance use challenges in their friends and peers. We have been funded by the Department of Mental Health to train 125 high school students to be peer advocates to help their fellow classmates cope with mental issues. If you're interested, please call us at 718-455-6010, extension 6116. You know the number. Leave a message of your interest if you have a student and your parent and you're interested. If you're a teacher and you have a student that you think can use it, refer them and leave a message, and we will get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. Thank you.
Christopher Graham, CB4. I wish I had 60 minutes, but I only have one because that is the amount of time that I would need to really thank you guys. On behalf of myself and the Long family, on July 12th, we was able to complete the name signing of Elder Street between Wilson and Knickerbocker. My good friend Ashman Long. It was a great process. We had a great day. And thank you so much. And it was a proud honor to be his friend. And if you haven't got a chance to see it, walk by. It's Elder Street on the corner of Wilson and Elder. Thank you so much.
Hello, Brizzo Torres from the Good Collective nonprofit, Bushwick School of the Arts. Happy Latinx Hispanic Heritage Month. It is also Arts in Education Week. So speaking of arts, it's a national thing. So we're so excited about it. We have open enrollment for our after school program. We center Latinx, Black, and Indigenous families, kiddos. We embrace culture. Primarily our families are immigrant families and our local families here in Bushwick. We have our after school program Monday, Wednesday, Friday, depending on the school. There's a possibility of pickup. We also have a school break camp for public schools, which is next Tuesday and Wednesday. So please do, if you know of any children, we are grades 2 to 9th grade, and our number is 347-294-5466. We are also artist led, so we have some really cool events. And speaking of which, go to the park, Irving Park. Okay, ciao. Thank you.
Jonathan on Zoom, followed by Deborah Hicks.
Good evening, everyone. This is Jonathan again from Brooklyn District Attorney Gonzalez's office. The DA Gonzalez invites all of you to our Hispanic Heritage Month celebration on Wednesday, October 15th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Viva Toro, 987 Grand Street. You can get there just by hopping on the L train to Grand Street or the Q54 and the Q59. Again, that's Wednesday, October 15th, 6 to 9 p.m. Viva Toro. Hope to see most of you there. Take care. Have a good night.
Thanks, Jonathan. Ms. Hicks? Oh, I'm sorry. I see the hand from far away. Rashid, go ahead. Sorry, Ms. Hicks.
How you doing? Peace and love. This is Rashid Luty John, founder and executive director of the Green Campaign. We're called G Camp, Genuinely Care About My Planet. Want to announce that we are launching a program at Bushwick High School called Bushwick Unity to bring more camaraderie around the different schools that are there. We're also launching a program called Rap for Peace at Hope Gardens Community Center. Also like to note that on August 30th, we held a back to school event in front of Audrey Johnson Learning Center, gave out 150 Black backpacks, and also signed up close to 60 families because we are right now raising funds to do an acquisition of the former Audrey Johnson Learning Center that has been abandoned. We would like to see how many community partners want to get support behind it. We would like to come to the community board and do a full presentation of it because we want to make sure that that location stays within the community and can become a thriving community center that we have not had on our side of Bushwick. On November 1st, we're going to be doing an activation called Light Up the Block It's called Bushwick Dark Side. So our concept is let's bring more light to the dark side. And in that, we are asking for support from local elected officials and the community board to add more trash cans on Moffett Street between Wilson and Knickerbocker. Can we get some more lights on that location? And we've been doing an 8-week cleanup that was featured on Rebuilding Brooklyn on Brooklyn News 12. Thank you so much. You can reach us at 929-598-9895 or gcampww@gmail.com. And our website is thegreencampaign.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashid. I see no other hands. I see no one else in person. That concludes announcements. Second roll call. Board members, please be ready. Linda Whitfield. Jerry Valentine.
Present. Good night, everybody.
Tucker. Christian Tate. Savannah Tides excused. James Stewart. B. Spiderman. Annette Spellin. Juan Serra. Milagro Sandoval. Josue Salazar. Eliseo Ruiz. Raul Rubio. Pablo Rivera. Pablo Rivera? Yeah. Okay, gotcha, Pablo. Shrey Richardson. Cirillo Nunez. Zuma Navoa.
Good night, everyone.
Ramika Nichols Barnes is excused. Alex Moreno. Freddie Madison is absent. Kristen Malden. Sorry about that. Cindy LeBron. Nancy Keith. Giovanni Justiniano. Luisa Jose. Tara Jones Thomas. Virgie Jones. Barbara Jackson. Tanisha Honeygan.
Present. Good night.
Deborah Hicks. Courtney Henley.
Good night.
Got you, Deborah. Zachary Hendrickson. Elaine Hamilton. Christopher Graham. Jason Gares. Alan Gamboa. Joanna Fuentes Singh. Freddie Fowler. Elvina Davis. Andrew Choi. Felix Ceballos. Kevin Campbell. Robert Camacho. Joanna Bennett. Siani Belliard. Stephanie Anderson. Isa Abney. Isa Abney?
Keisha Abney?
Isa Abney. I don't hear him. Motion to adjourn. Say your name. James Stewart. Christian Tate seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. 9:15. Good night, everyone.
Clean up after yourself, yo. This is not your house. Don't forget to pick up.
Yeah. We're on a car.